Hi, everybody. Welcome. Pugs Moran here live from the south side of Chicago studios that are actually Burbank. Same thing. Throat is not great. It's got to be a summer thing. But, at what season do I not complain about, something going on with my voice? Good thing it's the instrument of my profession. If you can call this a profession. This is a passion. This is love of the game bullshit. I did real radio for 25, 30 years, and this ain't real radio, but this is me continuing that passion. Love of the game stuff. All right. I mentioned Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. That's where we do these shows from. It is a very hot day here on the south side of Chicago. I don't know where it is. Where you guys are. Hold on. Actually, I do. It's like, I don't know where it is where you guys are. Actually, I'll tell you in a second. Right now, south side of Chicago, Burbank, we are rocking 95 degrees. 95. First of all, what you have to know is, for context, that's nuts for here. That's nuts. That's stupid. We don't do mid 90s. We touch 90. It's going to be 91 tomorrow, right? It's hottest day of the summer. So it's now been hot for like 3 days in a row. Let me see what's happening in Dallas. 87. You're only 87 in Dallas. It's one of them rare moments where Dallas is not as hot as Chicago. 94 degrees. Tis a beach day. Tis a beach day, though. We were looking for windows to go to the beach. It's too hot for the beach. It's not a perfect beach day. I've been waiting for a beach day so that me and my 17-year-old son who's spending the summer here can go. Beaches are great because they're inexpensive. And you just go, you bring everything you need and you go, right? So we've been trying to plan a beach day, but the weather hasn't cooperated this summer. For the first couple of weeks, it was too cold. Then it rained for 2 weeks. And then it was, 100 degrees for the last couple of days. That's not good beach weather. Nobody wants to go to the beach when it's 95, 96. I mean, you would think that's exactly when you go to the beach. Yeah, in like 1890, when, the beach was the only relief from the heat, we got air conditioning. We just sit in the air. So anyway, we need it to be I'd like it to be about a high of 88, 89. That's beach weather. Sunny. That's beach weather. 88, 89. Let's see, what else do I need to say? Let's reward the podium. We have a coop, a chicken coop. My chickens, you are my people. You've been with me for 5 years now, every day at noon, and I love you so much. I wouldn't even know how to articulate that particular feeling. But every day I like to reward the podium, just like in F1. First place, second place, third place. We like to, single out, give flowers to, what have you, the people who were waiting in line before the chat room opened. Today we've got a podium. Let me see. I know who the podium is. I was lurking. It's April, Byron, and Jen. Hey! April, Byron, and Jen. Oh my. All right. Thank you, guys. I love you guys. Appreciate you. You are our podium. April in first place. Byron, War Devil in second place. And Jen in third. KB, my old buddy, he's coming in at fourth place. Then we got Barney. I did it. Fat fingers. Sorry, guys. Hate when I do this. I always do it at the same time when I try to scroll down to say hi to the chat room. All right. Kevin is here. Barney is here. Taronda, you knew she would be here. Leslie's here. All right, everybody's folding in. We don't really hit peak chat room till about 12:30. That's when most of the looky-loos are, deciding whether or not they can tolerate me today. Man, oh man. So last night, I've been telling you about my evenings out on the Pope balcony, right? Me and my 17-year-old son. We've got this comically high up balcony that overlooks the entire neighborhood. I mean, seriously, we would need to jump down 30 feet to hit the roof of the house next to us. Oh, maybe I didn't tell you this. It's a balcony that is built onto a second floor and attic addition to the house. So the house is already taller than every other house in the neighborhood. It is. It truly is like we are the lords of the neighborhood. This is the Lord's house. but we've got this Pope balcony in the back, and my son and I, we sit out there. And yesterday I talked about how it was kind of, I've witnessed over the course of my life, and now I'm being reminded of it here, living in a neighborhood that was built in the 1940s and 50s. I'm reminded of how much as citizens we have distanced ourselves from one another. Remember yesterday I talked to you about the 8-foot privacy fence, how the 8-foot privacy fence came in the 1980s because we didn't want to look at our neighbors anymore. Whereas before that, everything was chain link. If you lived in a neighborhood, and it doesn't matter if you lived in a neighborhood on the West Coast all the way across America to the East Coast, if you lived in a neighborhood where you had shared property lines, you probably had a chain link fence. And the thinking of the people back then was, we'd love to see our neighbors. There was a thirst for a sense of community. And then that all changed. Once, the 1980s came up and all these new subdivisions began being built in the suburbs, they started saying, well, I don't like those. I don't know who they are. And I wonder if that has anything to do with the breakdown of the organic neighborhood. Because, all of these neighborhoods that were settled in the 1950s and 1960s, they were settled according to ethnicities, at least here in Chicago. And I also know that there are other places in the North. I don't know what was going on in the South back then in the big cities. And I'm not talking about rural. I'm talking about communities where people lived. So all the neighborhoods here, they were settled according to ethnicity, right? So it's the German-Irish neighborhood, right? The next door is like the Greek neighborhood, and the next to that Polish. And anyway, that's how it was here. So maybe because of the fact that the people, your neighbors, they were of like mind and culture, maybe people were just more willing to not have an 8-foot privacy fence and be able to see the neighbors next door. The neighbors next door were quite possibly your cousins. And I bet that was nice. So anyway, I sit out there on the Pope balcony now and with my kid, and we see everything and everybody sees us. There's no privacy. And it's shockingly nice. It's shockingly fine. I suppose you live in your suburb right now, right? You've got your big, beautiful house and you built your fence. Maybe you got a pool in the backyard. It's the middle of July. You just want to lay out there with your 8-foot privacy fences and your giant, expensive shrubs blocking ever you want your privacy. It's weird how we've changed. Anyway, that's my observation. So last night we're out there on the Pope balcony, me and the boy, and we're talking. And we were playing our little game with the airplanes. We're on a flight path for Midway, but we're also right in the flight path for O'Hare. So we can sit out on the Pope balcony. We can pull up an app on our phone that identifies all the planes in the sky and, where they are. And then we play a little guessing game. Where's that plane going? And it's fun. It's fun. He's 17. We drink beer. We do. We have a couple of beers out there every night. Sometimes we listen to baseball. Anyway, that's what we do. So we're done with that last night, and we go and we sit down, and I'm getting ready for bed, and he's sitting in the bedroom, and he's watching the TV, and somehow we got into a conversation. What was the conversation? Oh, okay. So it was President Trump, right? My kid's 17 years old. I'm sensing that he is becoming politically activated, right? He's not overtly political and he's not in your face, but he is very aware and he knows things that I'm like, oh, you know about that, right? It's like that kind of stuff. So we're watching this and we're watching Trump, and Trump was doing something and it was silly or whatever. And we just had an organic conversation about how this is not normal. Like I told him, I said, look, man, I was thinking, when I was your age, when I was his age, the president of the United States was Ronald Reagan, right? We were still in the Cold War. There was a dignity. There was a respect that we all had for the way Reagan carried himself. And Reagan, I guess I experienced as a small child, Ford and Nixon to some extent, Carter, of course. But really my awareness of who the president was came with Ronald Reagan. And my family may not have been Reaganites or particularly supportive of his policies, but as a child, not understanding all of that, the vision of what the president was straight out of fucking Hollywood. And it was amazing. If your first look at what an American president is supposed to be, remove the politics. We're talking about optics. If your first look at what an American president is supposed to be was Ronald Reagan, and now you see Trump, well, I'm just saying there is a bit of a gap there, right? So I'm talking to my son about this, and I'm like, he's your president, isn't he? Not in so much as my son agrees with his policies and would vote with him. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm like, he's your president, though. Like, as a little kid, going all the way back to 2016, when he first won, you were 7 years old. He was your president for the next 4 years. And then, there was Biden for a little bit, but now it's Trump again. And I just thought, man, it's another, I feel bad for your generation. You don't have the frame of reference of what this office is supposed to be. All you have, all that's been normalized is shut up, piggy, and shit like that. We're not building better citizens, is my point. We're not building better citizens. We are just lowering the bar on what is normalized and what is acceptable. And again, this isn't even about politics. This is about the way the office is presented to the world. I mean, if you started out as I did, and many in my generation did, as Reagan, as like the baseline for how a president should behave, certainly you can see the poor comparisons between Clinton, but still, Clinton was a goddamn knight of the round table compared to fucking Trump. And that's not political. That's just about saying shit and being a fucking jerk off all the time. That's what it's about. It's not about policy. It's about the other shit. So, yeah, I spend a lot of time talking about generations because I'm fascinated with generations. And the more time that I spend with my son, and I know maybe he is, maybe he isn't. It's very anecdotal. But to me, he represents, the generation. And man, have we failed them. Man, have we set them up for failure. But if it's any consolation, he's not a dummy because of it. Again, if he is representative of his generation, and I ask him, I'm like, oh, is this what your friends think? What are your friends into? I don't know that we're necessarily doomed. I don't. I know there's a lot. They're different. They're going to be different than us, but I don't know. I think there's reason to have a little bit of faith in this next generation, specifically Gen Z. All right. That's that with that. All right. So we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. Let's see here. We've got to get into, let me see. We got breaking news. We got breaking news that contradicts yesterday's breaking news. I'll tell you what that breaking news is. It's not breaking anymore. It's developing now, but you got to hype. Another reason why the media is completely mistrusted by everybody, because the media isn't authentic. It hypes. So a reversal of yesterday's breaking news. If you remember the breaking news at the start of the show yesterday, just remember, never mind. It's been reversed. It's been another ice death in Florida. That's right. Death this morning related to an ice situation. We'll figure out what that is. A little different. No gunplay, nothing like that, but still disturbing. So we'll get into that as well. Also, we should check in on exiled Texas power broker John Cornyn, former power broker. Man, he's Todd Blanche, Ghislaine Maxwell's friend, the guy who got along real good with Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember Todd Blanche? Todd Blanche. He was the guy underneath. What was her face? The blonde girl, the girl who was totally qualified for the job of Attorney General. What was her name? Pam Bondi. Remember? So Todd Blanche was like her hatchet man. And then she got hatcheted, but he was willing to do like the thing that I imagine nobody was willing to do, which is what he did, which is go see Ghislaine Maxwell and offer her a little quid pro quo if she wrote a letter to Congress saying she never saw Trump molest a kid. That's it. And of course, the other part of that was that she wouldn't have to be in a prison where you might normally find a global sex trafficker. No, she could go to a club fed. So that Todd Blanche, that's the guy we're talking about, the guy who hooked up Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, he's being confirmed, or at least they're going through the motions to pretend like he's not going to be confirmed as the Attorney General of the United States. And John Cornyn, look at this guy, John Cornyn, now strutting a little as an outgoing senator who not beholden to anybody. So we'll check in on Texas superstar John Cornyn. They say he's going to try and run for governor. How old is that guy? How you need to? Well, whatever. John Cornyn, he's gonna try and champion the old Republican Party again back there in Texas. See if he can get anyway. I think he's done. And he was doing a little peacocking today with Todd Blanche, so we'll check in on that. MSNOW is coming to DFW. Look, DFW again. Another story for my people. MSNOW. That's right. The ultra liberal news channel used to be MSNBC, but that name became untenable, so they had to rebrand. They're coming to DFW. Oh, and they're making a big deal of it too. Texas liberals. We'll talk about that. Also, an interesting story. I don't know if we'll get into this, but I've been watching Rahm Emanuel, and he's speaking of peacocking. He's been peacocking a little bit. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that he went on a bike ride across the state of New Hampshire. I'm sure that's just he ain't going to run. He ain't testing the waters. No, he wanted to go for a bike ride, and it just happened to be New Hampshire. Okay. He's running for president. Rahm Emanuel is running for president. And it's interesting. I'm not going to say that he's my guy, but it's interesting. I would certainly love to see a debate between Donald Trump and Rahm Emanuel. I mean, Rahm Emanuel was the asshole of the Democratic Party. He was the one that basically lost all of his party because they determined he was too no-holds-barred. Rahm Emanuel is too no-holds-barred. He once grabbed a guy in the congressional showers and put him in a headlock until he agreed to something. Yeah, those are all stories about Rahm Emanuel. He's an asshole. He's like, just shut up. He's that guy. He's a Democrat. He was an exiled Democrat, but he's making waves. He's coming back. And the New York Times today has a big story about why it's a little quiet right now, but why you ought to pay attention to Rahm Emanuel. It's a huge story about his brother Ari Emanuel, and what the Emanuel brothers are getting up to. Oh my God, if you know who Ari Emanuel is. All right. Speaking of Ari Emanuel, one of the most powerful men in all of Hollywood. Hollywood's having a big summer. We'll talk about that. Have you been to a movie this summer? I ain't been to no movie this summer, but apparently Hollywood's doing a bit of an end zone dance. And then we got another death. We'll spend a little bit of time on this one because this dude is somebody who I hadn't thought about in 30 friggin' years. At least 30 years. Probably more. If you're like me, if you're of my age, then MTV's 120 Minutes was a foundational show for whatever it is that you are now musically. Dave Kendall, the creator of 120 Minutes, not the original host, it was Pinfield. Pinfield was the host. Kendall hosted the show after Pinfield got a little too big for his britches. Pinfield's like, this show is cool. I should be making more than $50 a show. And you're like, yeah, nah, you're gone. So then Dave Kendall came in, as many people know, as the second host of 120 Minutes. But he was actually the creator of the show. He was the MTV producer who created it. And then when the host left, he stepped in. So he died. We don't know why. We're going to spend a little time talking about 120 Minutes and what they meant culturally to Generation X. And we're going to give Dave Kendall his flowers because I haven't thought of this dude in 35 years. Always liked him though. Always thought he was super cool. Like he was the perfect host for 120 Minutes, I thought. Anyway. All right, and then we'll do our other stuff, the dick of the day and all that good stuff. But we've got a big fun show for you today, and I hope you stick around for it. Now, we need to throw some flowers at some other people, right? We like to say thank you to our heroes of July. That's right. Now, this show, ladies and gentlemen, it runs on your tips, your gratuities. Drop a little something in the Cash App, drop a little something in the Venmo. It helps this kind of talk radio. What is this kind of talk radio? I'll tell you. It's not beholden to any political party. I'm a middle class, working class, blue collar guy who grew up on the south side of Chicago. I don't buy bullshit from the Republicans or the Democrats. I only care about the peasant class. That's us, the ones who are constantly being overlooked. So if you're looking for something to listen to during the day that is, going to feed your already formed political worldview, get the fuck out of here. It's not what we do here. We just take them one at a time, man. One at a time. Don't put us in a box. So if you support that kind of talk radio, it's not really allowed to exist anywhere else. Drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App, man. And, we're desperate. We're desperate this month more than any other month. And I know I keep saying that, but can you believe it? We didn't do anything in June. We had to borrow money in June. We got knuckle breakers coming after us. So help this show move on. Please drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. I do want to say we have a new name added to the wall of heroes for today. It's Tracy D. Ladies and gentlemen, Tracy D dropped one of them bombs. We only have a couple people who tip this show, regular couple. Well, you see the names there, right? Thank you. Thank you for the supporters. You are the Medicis. You're the Medicis of this little operation. And I thank you. And I thank you for your consistency. We don't have a very large audience, but we do have people that, apparently are willing to pay a premium to keep this show on the air. And that's why when someone like Tracy does something Tracy-like, I really appreciate it. So thank you, Tracy. She cut our deficit in half with one freaking drop. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. All right, so we're still, we're trying to play catch up from July, so we're still about 150, 200 away. I haven't done the math, but the breathing room provided by Tracy and her surprise from yesterday. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Man, it's already been a wild morning. I woke up this morning, got into a fight with my kid. Like first thing, it was like a fight. It was like, we fixed it. We fixed it because it was just, Jesus, man. It's just something that I just told him about. It wasn't a big thing. But it was something that we specifically discussed not 12 hours ago. Here we are in the morning, and there it is. That's a teenager though, right? Like I always start to feel guilty, like, oh man, I hope he's not thinking that he thinks that this is, a specific thing to him, and that, being a sloppy teenage boy is like, some fundamental flaw in his DNA, and it'll never be, it's like I always try to go like, look, you ain't special here. You're a fucking teenager, right? That's what I try to say. And it's true though, because I was terrible. Oh my God. Everything I say to him, my mother said to me. Everything. It's like I'm using her playbook. But then again, when I think about the sloppy teenage kid that I was, I never thought I was special. I mean, I knew I was special. Like in the bad way. In the bad way, I knew I was special. But not like, specially, deficient in being able to clean a bedroom or something. I knew I was just, like I'd been in my friends' bedrooms. I know what they look like. Anyway. So that's how today started, but we're fine now. We're already exchanging text messages, funny little things that he finds on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So we're good. How do I want to start? So I got to tell you, this is how disconnected from the news that I have been this summer. And I know that's probably a bad admission for somebody who does current events talk, but yeah, this is my kids here. We're doing different things. Like at night, instead of me, reading New York Times articles on bullshit I may or may not talk about, or watching, news and, interviews and stuff. I'm watching baseball with my son, and I'm watching Sopranos. And so I woke up this morning all ready to talk about Trump's speech tonight on TV, only to realize, oh wait, that's tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll have a whole thing on Trump's speech. Trust me, I have opinions and I will get into them, but that's until about an hour before showtime. I thought that's how we were going to lead off the show, with a little conversation about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's chirping. She says that the networks have a moral obligation to not air Trump's speech tomorrow, which I thought was very interesting. Because one thing that I accept as reality is that in the year 2026 in America, there is a sliding scale for how we define morality. So I don't know how she's saying morality. The networks, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says the networks have a moral obligation not to air Trump's speech. Don't we have freedom of American citizens to want to hear what the president says? The moral obligation complaint from Alexandria Cortez seems to stem from the American people shouldn't be allowed to hear what this guy is going to say. Now, I think a great many of us Americans who would like to hear what this guy has to say are smart enough to know it's going to be bullshit. I just want to see it. It's going to be historic. This president, that this is going to be something 50 years from now that they're going to show. So I want to see it. And again, I kind of was taken aback by the moral argument being levied against networks that choose to air Trump's speech. No, we have the freedom. Okay, again, not sure what morality is to everybody in 2026, because I've been shocked to find that things are being normalized that are certainly immoral in my eye. But I know what freedom is. I know that we American citizens should be able to hear what the president says if we want to, and then make up our own mind. So, that was a whole part of it. We won't get into it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll figure out exactly who is going to air it. I don't know that. I mean, look, if he was going to come out and make a speech to the nation about the situation in the Strait of Hormuz and how that is affecting our economy and how that is affecting our gas prices, and then tell us exactly what he plans to do. Or if he were to come out and he were to make a speech about the situations in Maine or in Houston or this morning in Florida, which we'll get on in a minute, and all the other things, and try and explain articulately to the American people what he is attempting to accomplish, that might be worthy of all the networks. But what he is going to do tomorrow is political propaganda. Okay? It's bullshit. It's shameful. And it's why I say in 50 years, people will be like, hey, remember when we sunk this low? So I want to see it because I have freedom and I need to know exactly what we're dealing with here. I want to hear how low and how desperate this guy is, the stuff he's going to say tomorrow. I believe none of it. And look, if you're like, oh, no, he just suddenly hates Trump. I've been saying for months, you guys, that I believe nothing from these institutions. It is all political propaganda at this point. We get no truth. So this tomorrow is so tone deaf, considering everything that's going on in the country. Nobody gives a fuck about the 2020 elections, you weirdo. But that's what we're going to get. And I'll have more on it tomorrow for you. I promise. I promise. But first, let's start with the breaking news. Yesterday, I started the show with breaking news. It had been announced by the Department of Homeland Security that they would suspend all traffic stops in light of the issues concerning body cameras and 2 people being killed in a 7-day period. It's probably, we're going to pause this, all right? Hey, best practices, right? That's what we're about. We're just going to pause it. That was the breaking news yesterday. Today's breaking news is that Trump says, no, we're not pausing them. Of course. It's the fucking thing that a baby with diaper rash might do. Trump demands that traffic stops continue despite reports of the contrary. Trump demands ICE restarts traffic stops despite 2 fatal shootings in a week, quoting President Trump. It won't happen on my watch. Bro, I think there's so much happening on your watch and it's not even being done deliberately behind your back. You just have no interest in some things. The fucking reflecting pool was a story. The president and the fucking maintenance schedule of park monuments was like the number one thing this guy was obsessed with for 3 weeks. President Donald Trump demanded that Immigration and Customs Enforcement resume traffic stops a day after the agency paused the practice. Trump's demand, issued via a Wednesday morning Truth Social post, comes after ICE was involved in 2 fatal traffic stops within a week. Here's what he wrote today. The men and women of ICE are doing a great job. Heck of a job, Brownie. Heck of a job, Icy. The men and women of ICE are doing a great job. One that has to be done. Crime is way down in America. I'm just going to yell the capital stuff, okay? In many cases, with numbers that haven't been seen in decades. The open border policy of Sleepy Joe Biden allowed 25,000 people to pour into our country. Just fucking stay on plot, dude. Stay on plot. The open border policy of Sleepy Joe Biden allowed 25,000 people to pour into our country unchecked and unvetted. Many were criminals, and we have to go get them out. In order to do this, we must be strong, tough, and smart, and we cannot give up one of ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the traffic stop! Once we do, we are playing right into the criminals' hands. The radical left Democrats would like to see this done, but it won't happen on my watch. ICE, be judicious, fair, and smart, and go back and do your very important job. Keep those crime stat records coming. Keep those crime stat record numbers coming. That's the criticism of him. The open and consistent criticism of him and this policy is that he is too focused on stats and not enough focused on the humanity of the actions. That is the primary fucking complaint. And here he is leaning into it. Keep those crime stat records coming! Exclamation point. Surprisingly not capitalized. Remember, you are loved and respected in America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump! There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our guy. That's, as I was saying earlier, that's the normal version of that's perfectly normal for a president in the eyes of our children, in the eyes of Gen Z. That's normal. ICE has come under intense criticism after agents were told Tuesday to suspend most traffic stops until further notice and work with other law enforcement agencies when vehicles are involved in their arrests. Immigration agents, and then we know about the shooting of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. I don't know his name. I should know his name. It's no disrespect. He was shot in Houston on July 7th. Salgado Araujo was not the agent's intended target. Then on Monday, we had I'm going to say Yon Sebastian Guerrero. He was the guy killed in Maine, also during a traffic stop. The Colombian man who had permission to work in the United States was not the intended target of the operation. Just a dude. This shit happened in Deadwood. Make America great again. I didn't think he was talking about Deadwood. All right, so let's move on to today's big story. There is another big story. This one comes to us out of Florida. Breaking, another ICE death in Florida. This one doesn't have the romance of gunplay, but it's still troubling, so let's talk about it. Let's see. This comes to us from the AP, the Associated Press. It says the headline, man fleeing immigration officers in Florida struck and killed by tractor trailer, according to police. Let me see here. A man running from an encounter with immigration and other federal agents in Florida was struck and killed by a tractor trailer on Tuesday morning. It was the third death in a week involving encounters with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents. The 28-year-old was among 4 occupants of a vehicle that stopped in the parking lot of a gas station and convenience store in St. Augustine before 7 a.m. today. So 4 Mexican dudes in a car before 7 a.m. I guess if you're in one mind in this country, you look at that and go, I wonder what home they're going to rob and what children they're going to rape. But most normal people look at that and go, yeah, they're going out to cut lawns for the next 12 hours or whatever. They're going to work. They're in a fucking convenience store going to work. Just throwing in nets. All right, so that's what happened here in Florida today. The 28-year-old was among 4 occupants of a vehicle that stopped in the parking lot of a gas station and convenience store in St. Augustine before 7 a.m. During an encounter with agents from ICE and Homeland Security, the 4 fled on foot, with one darting across a busy road into the path of a semi. He got hit, and he's dead. And if you're a shitty human being, you're just like, fuck that Mexican. Ha, there's one down. I see you guys on Twitter. It's fucking a human being who was so scared in the moment, but you've already got him as a child rapist and, all that shit. Just a human being fucking scared, being treated to the point where he's going to run in front of a fucking semi. Now, there is also a possibility that he is a multiple state wanted child rapist murderer who came in here with MS-13 and a butthole filled with heroin. Yes, that's a possibility too. But again, being an American and all that, it's the whole innocent till proven guilty. And all we know for sure is that a human being was scared to run in, so scared, they ran in front of a fucking truck. I don't know. What were they doing? 4 Mexican dudes in a convenience store parking lot at 7 a.m. Before 7 a.m. What were they doing? You know what they were doing. They were doing the shit that we don't want to do in this country. They were mowing our lawns, roofing our roofs. I think that's right. There isn't a goddamn person, a normal person in this country who doesn't agree that we ought to be kicking indoors and pulling them rapists and gun thugs and whatever else who are here illegally out of the country. We all agree on that. What we don't agree is fucking Pedro, who cleans our pool, not doing it this week because he got splattered by a semi in Florida. It's inhumane, and that's what I mean. If you think that's normal, then what the fuck is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talking about morals for? Because I don't know what is moral and isn't moral with some people. That's ugly, and this is the shit that's gotta fucking stop. Make America great again. I didn't think it was intended to be Deadwood, because that's what it looks like. All right, that's enough of that. Look, just fucking be cool to people, right? What do I say every day? Just fucking be cool. Well, what if you raped your daughter? Your daughter hasn't been raped either. Lucy Sue Carlson of, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, went for a walk with her dog Pepper and never came back because Pedro, we all want Pedro fucking out of here. No, we all want Pedro executed. I think we can agree with that. Pedro's a bad guy. Let's get Pedro. For Mary Lou for fucking Pepper, the dog. Let's go get him. But we won't go get him because that doesn't feed the statistics, right? And Trump wants to go, look at them numbers. Look at them. That's what Trump wants to do. And he can't do that without throwing out your fucking housekeeper. He can't do that without making your fucking landscaper's daughter cry. It's okay. He's coming for the daughter, too. All right. Very good. All right. Do we feel good about that? How do we feel about that? I'm afraid to look at the chat room. I always am. I know that's sadly a divisive kind of deal. All right. Mama B's here. Hi, Mama B. Adam is in the chat room. Hi, Adam. Adam says, I only drink to get drunk, so the concept of a beer or two is foreign to me. Well, let me tell you something, Adam. I think you and my 17-year-old son have the same attitude. So we're out there. Like, look, we got to go up to the Pope balcony. We got to climb stairs, right? And the refrigerator is at the bottom of those stairs. So I come up to the Pope balcony. I got a beer for me and a beer for him, and we sit up there, but by the way, again, and I just told him this because I think it's important that they hear this, my kid was sitting out on the Pope balcony last night drinking a beer, and he had no shirt on. He was just sitting. I think he was in his underwear. I think he might have been in whatever he was. He was sitting up there. He's drinking a beer, and we're playing this airplane game. And he had no shirt on, and I look over at him, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, is he ripped?" I'm like, he's 17, and his shoulders are like, Anyway, so I told him that this morning. I go, dude, look, I just want to say, I didn't want it to be weird last night, but you are looking amazing. Amazing. So anyway, he's sitting up there looking all ripped, and I bring the 2 beers because remember, the refrigerator, you got to go down steps, and I'm old. So I bring 2 beers, and we sit up there, and I open my beer, and I take a sip, and I put it down, and I go and I look at my phone, and we're tracking the planes, and I look over at him, and he goes, with the can. I'm like, wait, I only took one, what? And he's like, it's hot. I'm like, I'm going to go get another one. I'm like, yeah, you are going to get another one because, Jesus. Anyway, it was funny. Here I thought we were going to have this moment, drinking a beer, listening to the All-Star game on the TV in the background, watching airplanes. And no, he just slams it. He's just like, all right. Let's see. Barney says censorship is freedom to the DSA. I know it's a pretty broad statement. I'm still feeling my way through the DSA. Is Ocasio-Cortez a card-carrying member of what is emerging as this new DSA party, or is she still running around like a far-left Democrat? I don't know what her thing is. Censorship is freedom to the DSA. Interesting. I don't know. Look, if that is the policy, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez speaks for the Democratic Socialists of America, she is a card-carrying. I'm not sure. I don't know. But if she is, and if that is DSA policy, that the networks should not air the president's words because the American public shouldn't hear it, yeah, that's a problem. That's a real problem. That means from jump, they think that the American people are stupid. And I would like to believe that whatever rises up are the people who are done being treated like we are stupid, right? So, no. Let them fucking have this historically shameful moment. I'm not afraid of it. I don't think suddenly when we wake up on Friday morning that the entire country's going to go, you know what? Now I believe more than ever. No, it's the people. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to be irritating because the people who've been, carrying this flag for the last, since January 6th, these people, they will just use this new information to just be even more irritating. But nobody new is going to go, oh, you know what? So yeah, if it is the policy of the DSA that this is immoral to allow the people to hear what the president has to say about this, then yeah, I think that's a problem. All right. What else do we want to do here? Okay, so we covered that. So Trump says no. I want to continue with the stops. I don't know if the president can just say that and it becomes policy. I don't know how it all works. It's troubling, though, that the president is out there and empowering Mark Wayne Mullen to do the wrong thing. Just calm it all the fuck down. That's all you got to do right now. Calm it the fuck down. Just calm it the fuck down. That's all. It's that easy. But that doesn't get the numbers. They need the numbers. Let's see what else. Cornyn, do we want to talk about Cornyn, this clown show? Let's show this really quick. So Cornyn was talking, he was grilling Todd Blanche. He's the guy that wants to be the new Attorney General of the USA. I told you, Todd Blanche, Ghislaine Maxwell's buddy, the guy that set up Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, he's going to be the new Attorney General. He's being grilled currently today on in the Senate by a bunch of senators. Okay, that's not it. I want this one. Hold on. Boop. There you go. Now remember, John Cornyn voted. Remember, he was running for re-election. He got beat by Paxson in Texas. He's running for re-election in the Senate. He's like, I voted with Donald Trump 90 out of 100. Right? He did that whole thing because people were like, "You're not MAGA enough." He's like, "I do everything he says." Right? That's basically what Cornyn was. Well, he lost. He lost. So he doesn't got to be that guy anymore. No, Cornyn can ask tough questions. He went toe-to-toe with Todd Blanche today about the whole, well, you'll see.
Is a moot issue. Is that your position?
Yes, it is a moot issue, meaning there is no weaponization fund. The weaponization fund is dead. It's not moving forward.
Well, I would refer you to the settlement agreement. Do you happen to have a copy of that in front of you?
I do not.
This dude had nothing to say about the weaponization fund back when he was needing votes. Now all of a sudden Cornyn's like, all right, I'm not going to be a senator anymore come January of next year, so I'm just going to fucking wreck shop.
Okay, well, you probably know what's in it.
I'm familiar with it.
Suddenly sounding like a Democrat, or at the very least, a concerned representative about what's happening.
Yes.
I'm sure you are. On page 4, this settlement agreement may be modified only upon the written agreement of the parties. Has there been a written agreement of the parties to modify the settlement fund?
No, the settlement fund's just not moving forward. There's no modification. It's just, it never started. No money went from the treasury to any other account. There's no commissioners.
So what's going on here is that Cornyn is going over like some details in this thing that says, you remember the weaponization fund? Right. And then it was going to be, oh, the January 6th rioters are going to get like 10 grand or whatever, the crazy thing. It immediately met with a huge backlash. Everybody was like, nah, that ain't good, except for a bunch of Republican senators who kept mum about it. John Cornyn being one of them. Anyway, it got such bad response, almost bipartisanly, mostly bipartisanly. It got such a bad response that the word from the White House became, yeah, we're not doing it. Yeah, we're not doing it. And that was supposed to placate everybody into, oh, no, now they say they're not doing it. They're not doing it. But it's still in the bill. That's what Cornyn is talking about. I know you're saying you're not doing it, but it's still in here. Which means that if this passes, you guys can do it. That's what you can't trust any of these people. And what Blanche is saying is, well, I don't know why you're so hung up on it still being in the bill. We said we're not going to do it, and there is no fund. There is no fund. So, there is no fund today. That's the problem.
It's not.
Point is this: John Cornyn would never in a million years have been this kind of person. He would never have asked these sorts of questions. If he had won and was going up against, Tallarico in the primary, no way is Cornyn doing anything but rubber stamping this fucking clown.
Moving forward.
Well, so the settlement agreement remains as it was originally, but I hear what you're saying. Is the settlement agreement enforceable as a contract by the parties?
Well, yes, it's an enforceable document. So I suppose if President Trump's counsel sought to enforce it, they potentially could.
Including the weaponization fund.
Well, they could try to enforce the contract. They can't force the Department of Justice to move forward with the weaponization fund. They could potentially.
So what he's saying is, okay, so if we just leave it in here and we move forward, like there's a point where they could do it, right? They could just do it because now it's in there. And he's like, well, yeah, they could, but there's no fund. There's no fund today.
Say that I suppose that we breached by not moving forward. They haven't done that, and I'm not aware that they're planning on doing that.
They're trying to steal money from us, man, and suddenly John Cornyn is pretending like he fucking cares. These people are unbelievable. You know who else is unbelievable? MSNBC. MSNBC has long been such a disappointment to me. I first started, I used to watch a lot of MSNBC, like probably, I know exactly when it was. I don't know what year, but it was when they made Al Sharpton a daily host. When Al Sharpton started to be able to go out and appear as Al Sharpton, MSNBC host, I went, nope, done. Now, I had, for years prior to that, already been done with Fox for the same reason. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So Fox, everybody watched Fox originally before we knew what it was. So, I watched Fox, and then 2001, 2002, I enjoyed Bill O'Reilly right up into about 2003, 2004. I thought he was terrific as a broadcaster. Man, he was good in his prime. Now have you seen Bill O'Reilly lately? Man, he's aged. He is aged. Again, I didn't appreciate really a lot of what Bill O'Reilly's worldview was, but as a I liked his presentation. I liked the way he did it. I liked Olbermann over on MSNBC. Remember Countdown with Keith Olbermann? I like that for the same reason. I like the presentation. But so Fox News pushes me to MSNBC, and then MSNBC hires Al Sharpton, and I'm like, nope, no, he's a bad guy. He has done some really questionable things, man, and you're putting him on as a beacon of your brand. So that sucked. And that's around 2005 or 6. That's when I went to CNN, and I'm like, okay, these guys suck too. But at least they're not as overtly right as Fox or overtly left as MSNBC. So I settled with CNN. Now I'm a BBC guy. Now you know me. I go BBC and Sky News. Thanks to smart TVs. Every smart TV in America has. You have to have a cable subscription or a satellite subscription to get any American news. Like if you want to watch CNN, you have to have some kind of subscription. And now with Sky, now with Sky and BBC in America, you buy a smart TV and it's like right there. That's like the only free 24-hour news. Anyway, so I watch that now. But MSNBC, after years of painting themselves into a severely unprofitable corner, we'll call it that, they rebranded. MSNBC was like, people think we're one thing and we need to be more. That's not what they said. What they said was, we need to make more money and this brand doesn't make money. So they just changed the letters. MSNOW. It's MSNOW. It is still a left-leaning channel. I mean, it's done nothing to sort of change what they were when they were MSNBC, other than marketing, or they can present themselves now to somebody who would never have watched MSNBC because of the branding. I talk about how effective the right is with their branding of left-leaning things. MSNBC was branded as communist TV. So they need to try and expand here. You got a new generation. MSNOW. It is no longer communist TV. It is MSNOW. And interestingly enough, it may even be more communist leaning because 2026 is just flat out more comfortable with the whole socialism, communism concept. I may be as well. I'm listening. This is not working. Whatever the fuck this has turned into is not listening. So only an idiot wouldn't be like, all right, what else you got? Tell me, what are you presenting to me here? So MSNOW, as part of their rebrand, they are doing something big, something that they've only done once before, and that is taking their entire studio, their entire operation on the road. Coming to Texas. MSNOW is planning a Texas invasion. The left-leaning cable news channel will hold its largest community event yet in Arlington in September as it preps its membership offering for later this summer. So, yeah, that's the other part of it. MSNOW is like still going to be like MSNBC, a cable news channel, but now they're like they've realized that we're the only place for the libs, right? So now they're going to try and extort the libs. They're going to only give the libs what they want, but they need the libs to pay a subscription. It's just another like $15 a month to hear stuff that you want to hear. And that's what they're banking on. That's part of the whole MSNOW rebrand, multi-platform left. And why not? They're going to probably make good money off this because they are the only left-leaning media game in town. That's it. What are you going to say? What else is there? I mean, everything is fucking. Well, I know that anything that doesn't, bow down and kiss Trump's ass is libtard. I know that. But man, there is only one place for liberals in America. If they want me, it's MSNOW. So they're leaning into it, and they feel. I guess, at the corporate bean counter level, they feel that Texas is ripe for the picking. And as somebody who has lived in Texas for a very long time, somebody as a centrist who actually moved to Texas as a Democrat, as a Chicago Daily Machine Democrat, moved to Texas, became more of a centrist. That's kind of who I am now. Now I don't give a fuck about any of those labels. I only care about the working class and the people who are routinely fucking victimized by this system. I don't know what fucking party that is. But anyway, point is this. I think Texas is ripe. Everybody I know in Texas, not everybody. I mean, you know, I got a lot of MAGA friends and stuff too. But shockingly, the amount of important people in Texas that I know that are like me, that think like me, this is madness. I mean, I have friends who are Republicans, successful people whose names you might know, who are lifelong diehard Texas Republicans, who will tell me, yeah, he's a clown. We just got to ride this out. We got to ride this out and rebuild. He's a clown, right? That's the private things they say. I do believe that there is an avenue to wrench Texas away from this crazy cult-like politics that has taken over. And MSNBC believes as well. MSNBC is going to invest a whole lot in going to Texas for a couple of weeks here in September. They're going to be doing all of their shows live from, well, here, I'll tell you what they're doing. The channel will host MSNOW Live together in Texas, September 26th. This is the North Texas, but I guess they're moving around the state. Taking over College Park Center at the University of Texas at Arlington and inviting thousands of its fans along for the ride. Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell, Jen Psaki, Stephanie Ruhle, Ali Valeschi, Ari Melber, Chris Hayes, Simone Sanders Townsend. She married Pete Townsend. People don't know that. She married Simone Sanders. Remember her? She was Bernie Sanders' lady, spokesperson. She married Pete Townsend. Alicia Mendez, Jacob Soboroff, Texas native Eugene Daniels, Michael Steele, Luke Russert, and the Reverend Al Sharpton. Yeah, they still anchored to that. Well, why not? Subscriptions. Maybe you can sell some subscriptions. The event was announced in a memo to staff Wednesday by MSNOW. President Rebecca Cutler. Texas sits, here's what they say at MSNBC about you folks, the Texans. Texas sits at the center of many of the defining conversations shaping this election cycle. From democracy and voting rights to immigration, education, and the economy, Cutler wrote. She's the president of MSNOW. As those conversations continue to unfold, we want to be there, not only to cover them, but to bring our community together in the places where those stories are happening. MSNOW launched its live franchise as MSNBC Live back in 2023 and held its first event in New York City in 2024, drawing thousands of attendees to Brooklyn. Last year, they moved it to Manhattan. This year, Texas. Wow. All right. I'm only pointing this out because they wouldn't do this if they didn't see exactly what I've been saying, much to the chagrin of the Barneys and the Byrons. You're aging out of relevance, boys. The younger Texans, the ones who, grew up in California. That's what's happening, man. Remember there was like this celebration when like Joe Rogan and the like started to move to Texas. There was kind of a celebration among some Texans, like, yeah, man, nobody wants to be in California anymore. They want to be in a state that knows what they're doing. Well, they're changing the state. You think Joe Rogan's voting for Abbott? You're nuts. Joe Rogan is voting for some fucking witch doctor from Bee Springs. I think that's why I'm going to have him on my show. He's a witch doctor from Nigeria who's living in Bee Cave, Texas. I'm voting for him. That's who Joe Rogan votes for. What are you, nuts? Anyway, MSNOW. Look at that. So liberals, all the money that's pouring into Tellurica, that's another reason. they see it. It's ripe. God, I just want to. My friends who are far right-wing Texas traditionalists, one in particular, this is going to kill them, and I'm going to laugh because they're so loud. So loud. Like Grego. I love Grego. Grego's loud about what he thinks. This is going to kill him. This is going to kill him when Texas goes blue. I'll be there. I'll be there on his timeline. Doing okay, buddy? Doing okay? And some other friends too. But anyway, this is, if you're a liberal in Texas, you should see this as a sign that what you're feeling is being felt. The highest towers of libtardom. The libtardom class is recognizing that Texas might be ripe for the picking. All right, let's see here. Because PACs, really? You guys gonna vote for PAC? Good. Okay, there you go. This is like you guys would have voted for Judge Roy Moore. Remember that guy? Remember the judge who ran for the senator in Alabama? And it turned out that like for 20 years, he would go to the mall and just sit there and harass teenage girls. You remember that guy? Or Herschel Walker. Remember when you guys were like, oh, Herschel Walker could be a senator? That's how serious we are. That's who Paxton is. That's who Paxton is. You're a clown. You're a clown if you think Paxton is, better than Tallarico. Even if you got questions about Tallarico, he's too young, he doesn't have the life experience. Even if you have legitimate questions about him, he is fundamentally, clearly a better human being than Paxton. That's clear. That's before you even talk about politics. One of them seems like a nice guy. The other one seems like a fucking dick. So there you go. This is going to be a referendum on dicks in Texas. That not the phallus dick. I'm saying the Tallarico Paxton is going to be a referendum on, are more people in Texas assholes or nice people? Because that's the choice. We'll find out. All right. Cornyn taking off on Todd Blanche there, breaking from MAGA 9 out of 10 times. So we watched that. We watched Cornyn go after Todd Blanche during his confirmation hearing. We talked about MSNOW coming to DFW. They smell something. They're coming. All right. Now I want to talk about, this is an interesting one. All right. So, hold on a second. Do I want to take a break? I'm trying to figure out if I need to take a break here or if we can. Sorry, I need to spend more time with the chat room. Did you see that Tallarico in Plano? I did. I did. I think a whole bunch of my son's friends were there. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's what MSN. Beto never did that. This is not like when Beto was going door to door, county to county. I went to every county. Oh, shut up. Do mega rallies in Plano. Do that. That creates way more excitement than you knocking doors in fucking Central Texas. Dummy. Beto was such a bad choice. My partner Kelly just loved Beto. And I was like, the dude is, first of all, the guy's name is like Beta. That right there. I talked about it on the air last night. Maddie's got her own stream over there on Twitch. Talked about it on the air last night, and Todd Blanche is being brought up on investigation by the bar. Yeah. Well, that's all political. Of course he is. Of course he is. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a quick break, okay, because I need a fresh cup of coffee. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about this fascinating article, that I read this morning from the New York Times. That's right. Look at me. I'm fancy. I don't get the New York Times. It was a fucking site aggregator. I just clicked on it. It's not like I'm trying to showboat or anything. Shit, half the stuff I share with you comes from the Daily World. Yeah, so, yeah, occasionally I'm going to give you some New York Times stuff. New York Times is putting a story out there. I've been piecing it together. I've been watching this thing, and I'm like, that's weird. That's interesting. Okay, let me write that down. That's another indicator. Rahm Emanuel is running for president of the United States. And on his own, you could say that's an interesting choice. That's, he's certainly, hey, look, he can run congressman for multiple terms, White House chief of staff, mayor of Chicago, multiple terms, ambassador to Japan. I mean, the guy's got a freaking resume. He can run for president. Why not? Oh, you got to have done an NBC Reality series to be president now? Is that it? Because, Rahm Emanuel, you look at his paper, you're like, that's impressive. So on his own, you could be like, that guy's got a chance. And I am intrigued because he is a jerk off. Like, he's just, fuck you. Like, he's that guy. And that guy didn't really have a place in the Democratic Party. He was not woke. He was not woke. That's who he was. But, I kind of like his moxie. And there is part of me that would love to see him go one-on-one with Trump. Trump would never be able to hang with Rahm Emanuel in a fucking word fight. No, not even close. Anyway, we don't need to do that now. Trump's stupid, and Rahm's really quick and really smart and incredibly well-educated. And he's from the fucking streets. The Jewish streets of the north side of Chicago, but they were still the streets. Jews had gangs. Oh my God. Jaime Weiss, one of the great Jewish gangsters in Chicago history. Anyway, point is this. I would love to see that. So anyway, on his own, Rahm Emanuel is just like an interesting person who you could see raising money, and you could see actually being one of the 14 people on the podium there at the first debate, right? That makes sense. Until you read the New York Times story today. Story isn't about Rahm Emanuel. The story is about his brother Ari Emanuel. And if you know, first of all, the Emanuel brothers are absolutely insane. I don't know if you could imagine being their mother. Their mother, 3 boys. One of them is one of the world's most highly regarded heart surgeons. That's Ezekiel. That's Zeke Emanuel. Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel has worked on kings and sultans, and he is the top of doctors who do, I don't know, either cancer or hearts. I don't know, whatever it is. Important world-class physician, Ezekiel Emanuel. Then you got the middle brother. I think that's Rahm, right? Rahm. Yeah, fuck Rahm. What did he do? He's got the brother who's the doctor. Mom's really proud of him. He became chief of staff, mayor of Chicago, congressman, and ambassador to Japan. So mom's like, yeah, that's my loser son. My one son's a doctor. We always wanted a doctor. We don't just have a doctor in the Emanuel family. We've got who's regarded as the finest doctor. And then there's my loser son, ambassador to Japan, chief of staff, future presidential candidate. He's my loser son. Then there's the young son. The young son is Ari Emanuel. I think I'm not sure. I know there's only a 1 year difference between Ari Emanuel and Rahm Emanuel. So I'm just not sure who the older one is. Ari Emanuel has for decades been the most powerful man in Hollywood. All the names that you hear, Ari Emanuel is the guy behind the scenes who fucking runs everything. That's Rahm's brother. That's Rahm's brother and best friend. Fun fact, if you watched Entourage, the character of Ari Gold, the way Jeremy Piven portrayed Ari Gold was Ari Emanuel, who at that time was Hollywood's biggest super agent. That's who Jeremy Piven was playing in Entourage. Rahm Emanuel's brother, who was the most powerful guy in Hollywood. So the Times does this big story on Ari Emanuel and all of these interesting little, I told you, signals over the last couple of months. There's Rahm Emanuel suddenly giving speeches everywhere. Rahm Emanuel is going on high-profile TV shows. He's a regular now over there on not MSNOW, but CNN. He broke bad. He went to Tel Aviv a couple of weeks ago. Remember, Rahm Emanuel's a Jewish guy, and people without Israeli lobby. No, he went to Tel Aviv and he gave a speech where he told off Netanyahu. Crazy, interesting. Sounds like a guy who might want to be a populist candidate. Interesting. Then, he rode his bike across New Hampshire, which is weird. Why are you doing that? Well, because it's the New Hampshire primary. Got to let everybody, hi, I'm riding my bike and not running for president at all. Then we get the Knicks. Remember the Knicks? Remember the Knicks championship game? You look right there courtside, and who's sitting there? Rahm Emanuel and his brother, Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel, who owns the sports media agency that runs, Jalen Brunson of the Knicks. So that's why they were right there. A lot of things. They're really close friends. The power, the quiet power and money that Ari Emanuel is in charge of, the influence that Ari Emanuel operates is insane. And if you think, well, that can't help, well, wait till you hear this, all right? All right, this is from the New York Times today. Super agent, obviously. Secret weapon in 2028, maybe. Ari Emanuel's empire has grown beyond Hollywood to include the UFC, the WWE, and some key figures in the manosphere. That could work out well for his brother Ram should he decide to run. Let me show you this guy, just so we can get a look at Ari Emanuel. Because there are just such crazy, interesting crossovers that make you go, oh shit. Ari Emanuel controls Joe Rogan. Ari Emanuel. Yeah.
According to
There you
nypost.com,
go.
Endeavor chief executive Ari Emanuel has officially hit billionaire status after shares in the massive media agency soared over the past year.
All right, here you go. While the right has been tearing down, the Potemkin phantom that is George Soros and that whole crazy thing, they built up that whole myth about George Soros being this monster as a paper tiger for people to be mad at. He represents the liberal billionaire. Nah, this motherfucker is who you guys should have been focused on. This is the powerful guy. All right, that's what we're looking at right there. That's Ari Emanuel. All right, so here's what the New York Times had to say today about this whole little thing that might be unfolding before our eyes. As a top Hollywood super agent, Ari Emanuel spent decades amassing a client list chock full of superstar icons. These days, his sprawling sports and entertainment empire has brought him closer to the podcasters, peptide takers, and protein maxers who occupy a significant mind share of some of America's most valuable and persuadable voters. Independent young man. Ari Emanuel's client list includes UFC ringleader Dana White, podcaster and commentator Joe Rogan, sports talking head Pat McAfee, and the sports and political pundit Stephen A. Smith. Emanuel also maintains a close relationship with Elon Musk, even attending the SpaceX founder's court battle against OpenAI last year. The Emanuel sphere is vast. And come 2028, it could prove particularly beneficial to one potential presidential candidate, his brother, Ram. All right, now I'm not going to read you the entire story, but you can find it out there, and it's very interesting about how all of these things, again, I say, if Rahm Emanuel just said, I'm running for president, most people would be like, yeah, okay. I mean, he's not crazy. It's not like, Gary Coleman running for president. You're like, okay, yeah, all right. He's going to be one of the 14 guys. He's probably not going to make it out of the primaries. He's probably going to drop out and all that, but whatever. He's going to be one. You would think that makes sense. But then when you add in the fact that he is that guy who it makes sense for him to throw his hat in the ring, he is that guy. But he also has a machine behind him that they have quietly been building now for the last couple of years. That's what the New York Times article explores. I mean, he's not announced, but holy fuck, when he does, it's going to be something. I would be looking for Rahm Emanuel to appear on Joe Rogan very shortly, and I would expect Joe Rogan to go, I like you. I like this guy. He's a tough guy. I like a tough guy. Because it's all a work. It's all a work. And Ari Emanuel, he's a good friend to have in this moment. Anyway, it's an interesting story there in the New York Times. You can find it. It's all about Ari Emanuel and how he could be a secret weapon to his Democrat brother, who seems to be looking like he's running for president. Hollywood's big summer. That's the other big headline today out of Hollywood, is that they are doing a bit of an end zone dance when everybody said that Hollywood was done and nobody goes to movie theaters anymore. Apparently, Hollywood is having a summer. Now, again, this is probably premature because most of this article is based on the wildly anticipated success of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. This article will mean nothing if that movie fails. If that movie fails, then it's like, oh, so it was kind of a bad summer. Anyway, it goes on to talk about some of these movies here that have been doing well at the box office. I'm only familiar with one of them. Obsession. My 17-year-old son put that on my radar a while ago. The box office bounces back. Gen Z, surprise hits, and more have Hollywood banking on a $10 billion year. I don't know if that's good or bad. There seems to be a time not too long ago when Hollywood movies were making like 2 billion, you know, and there was like 5 of them in theaters at a time. It's crossing the billion mark. So I guess you got to shrink that down. Now they're just hoping to get 10 billion out of everything, out of all of them. We just need 10 billion. People are calling, let's see, here's what it says. I don't really care about this Hollywood agent who's being interviewed for this story. I just want to tell you the movies that people are talking about. It's not just Homer fever. The Odyssey, people are, there's a whole, okay, so they're all like, the Odyssey, it's coming, it's going to be great, it's going to set box office records, Christopher Nolan's a genius. I think Christopher Nolan's overrated. I do. Oh my God, what did he say? What did he say? I find Christopher Nolan's films that aren't Batman related to be incredibly boring and way overhyped. Dunkirk was unwatchable. I love a good World War II movie. Dunkirk could have been awesome. Dunkirk was boring. What else did he do? He's got like half a dozen movies that make zero sense, and people just pretend like they're good. Inception is so good. The movie makes no fucking sense. I'm sorry. Look, I'm the world's biggest Stanley Kubrick fan. I love Stanley Kubrick. I think he's the greatest film director ever. Okay, that's where I'm coming from. I think that 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of the worst films ever made. And other Kubrick fans will tell you that's the best of the Kubrick movies. And I'm like, Strangelove? You fucking idiot. Strangelove is the best of the Kubrick movies. My love of Stanley Kubrick's body of work is not such that I can see or that I overlook 2001. 2001 makes zero sense. And I remember thinking the whole time I'm watching Inception, was it Chris Nolan? I'm watching this going, I don't care what anybody says. This is another 2001. I'm drawing the line here. I have a principle. This movie makes no sense. I'm not stupid. My brain worked good. I understand things. I don't understand this movie. So anyway, this entire article about how great Hollywood is basically premised upon the idea that we're all going to line up to go see the Odyssey, which, I mean, I know a lot of stars and all that, but my 17-year-old kid is very excited. Or I don't know, I shouldn't say very excited. I shouldn't overstate it. My kid is like, yeah, I want to see that. That looks good. Like he's showing interest. And I think it's just because he's 17 and he is a target for hype, right? So he's just like, oh yeah, okay, that I should see that. Maybe that's what's happening there. I don't know. Because I look at this and I go, this looks like it's gonna be disappointing. I like remember Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Was it Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie and Alexander? Remember that? I was like, okay, that was disappointing. All of these big giant spectacles just on some level to me always seem a bit disappointing. And by the way, and I hope that Christopher Nolan doesn't fall into this. Cameron fell into this with Titanic. When I went and saw Titanic, now look, fell into it. Fell into what? The #1 grossing film of all time, right? So my criticism, I'm the idiot. I didn't like Titanic. There was a point in Titanic, like an hour and a half into it, that I turned to my girl who I was seeing the movie with at the time. This was Christmas Day. It's like Christmas Day, 1998. We were at the Water Tower Theaters in downtown Chicago. And I turned to her and I said, I'm going to go out and play Zaxxon. They had a Zaxxon game in the lobby. At that point, I hadn't seen a Zaxxon game in 10 years. So I remember turning to her and going, I'm going to go in the lobby and play Zaxxon. You come get me when they approach the iceberg. It was like an hour and a half of Jack and Rose. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I would love to see what life was like on the boat. I would like to see a depiction of what the jobs were and what everything was. I don't need some fictionalized romance so that I bring my date to this fucking movie. I want to see a boat hit an iceberg. And they made me wait like 2 hours to even get close to that. Anyway, I'm afraid that that's what the Odyssey is going to be. Like the Odyssey, Homer, this is big subject matter. I hope it is not going to be derailed by romantic subplots designed at the studio's request so that guys bring girls on dates. And that's what I always fear when I see these movies. I'm like, oh, Jesus. It's what the 5-minute candlelit, poorly lit in a tent sex scene between, the two stars of the film. We don't need that. We don't fucking need that scene. I'm so tired of that scene being in every fucking movie. Here comes the love scene. You could cut that down to like 30 seconds. Just show them start to make out and fall on the bed, then cut to the next fucking scene. We live in the era of porn, okay? This is just sad, what you're showing me here. I don't need this. If I want this, there's porn available readily in America. So anyway, that's my fear for Homer's or Nolan's. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. It says it's not just Homer fever that has America going to the movies again. For the first time since COVID threatened theaters with extinction, Hollywood is letting out a huge sigh of relief. Audiences have danced along with Michael. See, I don't know what Michael is. What is Michael? You say there's a movie called Michael. I'm thinking it's John Travolta as the angel. Right? That's Michael. What, did they make that into a cartoon? Because everything old is new again? That would be a good idea. Hey, Hollywood, call me. I got an idea. Remember the John Travolta thing, Michael? Let's make that a cartoon. Watch, that's what this is. Watch, that's exactly what this is. I don't know what it is. But apparently something called Michael has been very popular. Let's see. Devil Wears Prada 2. Apparently a big hit. Again, sequel. Not really a new story that's kind of shaking people up. That's Backrooms. Backrooms has been sort of like the big across the board legitimate hit that would have been a legitimate sleeper summer hit in any era. In this era, it's like the biggest movie of the summer. But yeah, Backrooms is supposed to be really, really good. Devil Wears Prada 2? I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't see Devil Wears. I didn't see Devil Wears Prada. You didn't see Devil Wears Prada? No. Look at me. You think I saw fucking Devil Wears Prada? I'm neither gay nor a woman. I didn't see Devil Wears Prada. I don't need Devil Wears Prada 2. Backrooms. Can't wait to see that. That looks good. Let's see. Okay, so Michael dressed in couture to see, let's see. Hollywood is letting out a huge sigh of release. Audiences have danced along with Michael, dressed in couture to see The Devil Wears Prada 2, and returned again and again to have the shit scared out of them by obsession. Popcorn is popping at concession stands, and moviegoers are shelling out extra to consume the buttery goodness in collectible-themed buckets. Teens are turning out in force and sharing the fun on TikTok, and studio accounts are giddy as the list of blockbusters keep growing. Yes, people have fallen in love with going to the movies again. Well, God, look, you know what? Good. Not me. Not for me. I think that my routine of going to a movie every week, and sometimes when I was even younger, going to a movie twice a week, when you go to a movie, when there's nothing else, you go to a movie. That's what we used to do. You want to go to a movie? We would go to a movie. You know what they do now? They're like, you want to play Madden? They just sit on the couch and they don't go. So I am pleased that Gen Z is rediscovering the movie theater. I just love it as a social component for a culture that I think is losing and degrading all of our social components by the day. Young people just aren't doing things. So get out, go to the movies. That's awesome. Have fun. We used to have movie experiences. It wasn't about the movie. It was about a place to go where you'd see people you don't see all the time. Hey, there's that dude from the school across town. What's up? I mean, it was an experience. They don't have it anymore. So I'm happy. I don't know if that means that Hollywood is back. I think it means that this summer, people are going to the movies. I am constantly having conversations with studio heads, and you can sense an optimism that they've not felt in a very long time, says Seth Rogen, who stars in this summer's comedy, The Invite. By the way, I want to see that. That actually looks like a good movie. But is that a movie? Like, do we make a distinction between movie theater movies and movies that just pop up on Netflix? Because as it turns out, as I've learned recently, movies that I think just turn up on Netflix were actually in the theaters like a couple of months early. I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, there's a new Netflix movie because I don't go to theaters. And that's Hollywood's problem. I'm constantly having conversations with studio heads, and you can sense an optimism that they haven't felt in a long time, says Seth Rogen, who stars in this summer's comedy, The Invite. It reminds me a little bit more of how it felt 15 years ago, in that there's a belief that they can win at the box office again. That's good for him. So I'm so happy for the Hollywood stars. At a time when nothing is guaranteed, Hollywood has scored with familiar franchises and family films, including the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I don't know what that is. I heard about it. That was a thing, right? Super Mario Galaxy movie, the year's first billion-dollar blockbuster. Wait a second. Hold on. At a time when nothing is guaranteed, comma, Hollywood has scored with familiar franchises and family films, comma, including the Super Mario Galaxy movie, comma, the year's first billion-dollar blockbuster, hyphen, what? Toy Story 5, which has raked in. Okay, so I guess the Mario movie made $1 billion. All right, that's good. That's good. Toy Story 5 raked in almost $900 million and is expected to overtake Toy Story 4 as the largest in the 31-year-old series. 31-year-old series. So Toy Story 4 is already at $900 million. They expect it to pass $1.07 billion, making it the highest grossing Toy Story movie. There you go. That's how you say it. Some of the year's most unconventional stories are also among the biggest successes at the box office. Project Hail Mary, a cerebral astronaut epic starring Ryan Gosling, defied expectations with $683 million globally to become Amazon MGM's first certified smash. Project Hail Mary. Starting to think that maybe I need to go back and revisit that. I got to the point where he started hanging out with Rocky. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. I got to the point where he started hanging out with Rocky. I didn't like the looks of Rocky. I bailed. I stopped watching. I was like, all right. What is this, a Muppet? What is going on here? This is not what it lost credibility for me when I saw Rocky. I don't know why. Because I'm serious about my alien shit. And I don't need the alien to look like, the Fantastic Four's thing. That's kind of Rocky. Anyway. I'll go back and watch it because too many people that I respect are like, no, dude, that's a good movie. I'm like, okay, fine. I was probably in a bad mood when I put it on and I was like, dude, look at this fucking stupid Muppet looking alien. So, your mindset when you go in to absorb is very important. You have to be in a good mood when you see something if you want to be. Some of the year's biggest, most unconventional stories are among the biggest successes. Project Hail Mary, a cerebral astronaut epic starring Ryan Gosling, defied expectations with $683 million globally to become Amazon MGM's first certified smash. Michael, see, I don't know, John Travolta is the angel. Michael, after a chaotic production and multiple delays, was a crowd pleaser, becoming the first Oh, that's Michael Jackson. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, right. That's how forgettable. That is how forgettable the Michael Jackson bio was to me. I didn't see it. That's really how forgettable it was. Man, I have no interest in seeing that. Should I see that? Should I see the Michael? It's available places. Should I see the Michael Jackson movie? This whole time I'm sitting here going, that's John Travolta as an angel. It's the Michael biopic. Sorry. Michael, let's see. Michael, after a chaotic production and multiple delays, was a crowd pleaser, becoming the first biopic to cross the $1 billion in ticket sales. Obsession, which is a twisted romantic thriller from newcomer Curry Barker, has been a wildly profitable smash with $426 million and counting. Oh, exciting. Back Rooms. Let's see, what's this? Backrooms is another movie that apparently my son is like, it's the best movie in years. The film, all right, we're talking about Backrooms. No? We're talking about Obsession. Yeah, we're talking about Obsession. Okay. The film broke records after an unprecedented box office run with second, third, and fourth weekends that were larger than its debut. Somehow, none of the mania over Obsession diminished demands for Backrooms. I told you about this movie. That movie's supposed to be crazy. None of this diminished demand for Backrooms, a low-budget horror sensation that hails from 20-year-old YouTube creator Kane Parsons. My 17-year-old son is all about Kane Parsons. Like, kind of like how maybe I was all about Quentin Tarantino in 1991. And we're like, no, you don't know this guy, but you'll see. Kane Parsons. I'm impressed. I've seen something. My son has hipped me to him. I'm impressed. Kane Parsons. He's like 12. He's like a 12-year-old director. Anyway, Backrooms is an incredibly trippy concept from this kid director. And it's like, whoa. It's now the indie companies. Oh, let's see here. Backrooms put projections to shame. It secured A24's largest debut yet with a staggering 81 million, way above Timothy Chalamet's Marty Supreme. It's now A24's highest grossing release ever with more than 363 million. I really like A24. I really like A24. I think they are doing consistently the most interesting stuff. They're putting, we're not just a grindhouse, they're not just one genre. They seem to be really interested in telling cool stories, which is something that hasn't really been the case with studios, or at least big studios. Most of them are like Skydance. Wait till you see what's coming out of Skydance. Anyway, A24, I'm a fan. There you go. Hollywood is doing a bit of an end zone dance because they've had a better than expected summer. And they ain't dead yet. I never took my break, did I? I never took my break. I just realized that I never took my freaking break. That's okay. Let's keep rolling now. Here we go, because we're almost. I need to take a break. All right, let me do this quick. Let me take a break. Let me go to the bathroom. Let me get a fresh cup of coffee, check in with the boy, and then we'll come back. We got a whole bunch of other stuff that we'll talk about again. It's sort of a free-form day. I put together so much stuff for today. I'm just picking some stuff. And hope you're with me. All right, quick break. Back after this. All right, there we go. We're back. We are back. All right, let's see here. Still to come on today's show, we're going to talk. Well, we'll do all the things we typically do at the end of a show, but we're not at the end yet. We've got a couple other things. You can look forward to Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. You can look forward to 3 videos. You can look forward to Dick of the Day. That's right. We're going to name it Dick of the Day. Today, we're going to prove that you don't need to have a dick to be a dick. Also, World Cup. We should touch on this. We'll probably try and talk to Aaron tomorrow, as at some point today we will have the finals, the championship of soccer. We'll have that set. Yesterday, big game. By the way, the Final Four, right? The Final Four were France and Spain, and yesterday France and Spain played. And Spain beat France 2-0. Spaniards are coming for the World Cup trophy. So Spain is through. Spain will be playing on Sunday, I think. Sunday. And we'll get into all this tomorrow. Hopefully we'll talk to Aaron. So Spain is already in, and we're waiting to find out who Spain will play. Spain will play the winner between England and Argentina, and that's happening right now. And I have to imagine that that's why I don't have Peter in the chat room today, because Peter's big on the soccer. Look, no Peter. How much does that hurt? No Peter. Oh, geez. Did Peter even check in? Did he even check in? Or is this the limit to his appreciation for this show? That's okay. Peter gets a pass. Peter can get a pass to go watch the World Cup today. Game's going on right now. Might explain why. Well, that explains why we don't have 10,000 listeners. No, that doesn't explain why. It's not even minorly a reason. Anyway, what is the current score? What's happening? AI is good for this. What is the current score of the England-Argentina match? I don't know. Sorry, AI. I'm not sure how to phrase that. I'm not a soccer fan. The England versus Argentina match has not started yet. Oh, I thought kickoff is scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. 2 p.m. Oh, okay, so it starts in 15 minutes. All right, there you go. All right, very exciting. I don't have I'm not a big soccer guy, so I'm not sure how to. I will watch the final. I will watch the World Cup final. Just like I watched the American team get beat by whoever, a team that I probably didn't think could beat us, but did. So whatever, I'll watch that on Sunday, and we'll talk to Aaron tomorrow. We'll get a full breakdown, World Cup breakdown tomorrow. Nope, don't care about that. All right, so we'll do this one. All right, so here's a story that I saw last night, and it kind of made me sad. And I was like, dude, I haven't thought about this cat in 40 years, maybe. Dave Kendall, ladies and gentlemen. You guys remember Dave Kendall from MTV? There he is. Look at him. 1989 through like early 90s. He had the English accent. I mean, he looked like a pop star. He didn't just look like, Matt Pinfield was the guy who was the original host of MTV's 120 Minutes. And that's where you would know Dave Kendall from 120 Minutes on MTV. Matt Pinfield, I look like a broken thumb, right? That's what Matt Pinfield looked like. And then they give you this guy. He's Mr. British. It's Mr. Handsome. A lot of people didn't like Dave Kendall. I did. I thought Dave Kendall was cool. I liked him. Turns out, I've known this for a while, but, most people, I think, as the news that Dave Kendall of MTV's 120 Minutes has passed away, people are realizing now for the first time that he wasn't Matt Pinfield's replacement. It wasn't like Matt Pinfield was so great and then they fired him and they hired this twat. No, Dave Kendall wasn't Matt Pinfield's replacement. Dave Kendall was Matt Pinfield's boss. Dave Kendall created 120 Minutes for MTV. He pitched it to MTV, and then they went with Matt Pinfield, who I love Matt Pinfield. This is not, and I'm not here to say, I'm not saying that they had an adversarial relationship. In fact, it was Matt Pinfield who announced to the world that Dave Kendall had passed yesterday. What I'm saying is, among the peanut gallery, among us, the fans of 120 Minutes, it may have looked like Dave Kendall forced Matt Pinfield out and then took his job. Point is, no, Dave Kendall, this guy right here, he invented 120 minutes. And that in and of itself is something really important to me, because 120 minutes was foundational to whatever my open-minded nature towards music would be. Unlike the other genre specific, and that's really what 120 minutes was, unlike the other genre specific shows that I watched on MTV, Yo MTV Raps, Headbangers Ball, there were others. Point is this, unlike all those other, unlike Yo MTV Raps, unlike Headbangers Ball, you could hear a million different kinds of music on 120 minutes. 120 minutes was basically like everything else. Everything. Okay, you only want to hear, here's Fab Five Freddy. Here's Yo MTV. You just want to hear hip hop. Here you go. Oh, you just want to like fucking get stupid and bang your head for 2 hours on Friday night? Here's Headbangers Ball. It's all going to be 120 minutes on Sunday nights had everything. You could hear like Queensryche, and you could hear Tori Amos. You could hear. My point is this: there didn't seem to be any limits, and that's what really appealed to me. Now, 120 minutes was sort of branded as this was before alternative rock existed. I worked in alternative rock. Alternative rock as a radio format in America popped up in the early to mid 1990s. There was a station in Los Angeles that did it first. They had great success in the Los Angeles market. It was a test format. It did well in Los Angeles. They moved it to Chicago. They moved it to Q101. Then at Q101, it had a huge success in Chicago. They moved it to New York. And once they had 3 markets, Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, that were proven with this new alternative rock format, then they rolled it out everywhere. And it was successful everywhere, and they killed it everywhere. That format, the whole alternative rock movement, I don't think happens. Certainly, we don't have radio companies investing in this format as a 24/7 radio format if Dave Kendall doesn't get MTV to put on 120 minutes. And Dave Kendall died yesterday, and it's almost nobody knows how he died. Nobody knows what he's been doing. Not a clue. I haven't thought about, as I said, I hadn't thought about Dave Kendall in 35 years, but here we stand. The man is dead. What has he done? And I'm telling you, 120 minutes is very important for a lot of people, and exponentially important for anybody who likes that kind of music, the kind of music that wasn't poppy enough to be greenlit immediately by radio programmers. Anybody, Nelson, do you remember Nelson? Nelson is a song that every radio programmer in America in 1988 greenlit and went, that's got to be a classic for all time. What it was a number 1 hit for a week, and now we can't even remember what that fucking song was. But I mean, there are songs I heard for the first time on 120 minutes that have become absolute staples of my life. Let's watch a little bit of Dave Kendall on 120 minutes as a tribute to the guy. Actually, no. First, let's see. So let's give you a little bit of a bio as it was written today. Again, almost nothing out there about this guy. He really did seemingly, at least to me, and I worked in media and I stayed in culture, and I get it. He didn't do anything. Like, I see Kurt Loder popping up from time to time. We see other MTV VJs. He was completely forgotten or completely just stepped away. Dave Kendall, creator and host of MTV's 120 Minutes, has died. Kendall hosted the influential program from 1989 through 1992. It says here, Dave Kendall, the creator and former host of MTV's 120 Minutes, has died. Fellow MTV alum and former 120 Minutes host Matt Pinfield shared the news of Kendall's passing on Tuesday. Dave was one of the true believers. Long before alternative music found its way into the mainstream, he was there every week on 120 Minutes, introducing people to bands that would go on to define an era. And that is truth. The first time you ever heard of any of these bands was because of 120 Minutes, because your local rock station wasn't playing them. And then, because of 120 Minutes, everybody started playing them. My God, do you know what 120 Minutes did for the B-52s alone? My God. He loved music, respected the artist, and connected with fans in a way that always felt authentic, Pinfield added. That's a rare gift. The British-born Kendall conceived 120 Minutes after joining MTV as a producer, pitching the network a dedicated program for the punk, post-punk, goth, synth-pop, ska, and other underground sounds largely ignored by corporate rock radio. That's what he pitched it as. We know it now as alternative rock, alt-rock, which is a staple as secure as any genre. Let's see. Kendall later served as the show's host from 89 through 92. A quote here: by far the most important thing about 120 Minutes was that it acted as a distribution channel for organic musical produce, if you will, Kendall told Consequence magazine in a 2016 interview. The only other outlet for non-mainstream music at the time was a few local college radio stations spread across the country. Yes, 120 Minutes turned me on to the concept of college radio. I had never heard of REM until I was introduced to the college radio scene. I didn't know that every American college had a little tiny watt radio station that played the coolest fucking music on the planet. That became alternative rock. They tried to replicate the college rock radio scene, which had birthed at that point, suddenly overnight, bands like REM, B-52s, bands that were suddenly pop bands. They didn't change. They just never got the attention before. He loved the music, respected the artist, and connected with the fans in a way that always felt authentic, Pinfield added. Kendall conceived 120 Minutes after joining MTV as a producer. He pitched the network on this dedicated show for the post-punk goth synth pop ska underground demo that were largely being ignored by corporate radio. In the years following his departure from MTV, Dave Kendall continued working as a television host and producer while also frequently performing as a DJ. He later hosted a show on Sirius XM's First Wave and served as a correspondent for the Bangkok Post in Thailand, where he lived during the later part of his life. Okay, you know how I feel about people who go and move to Thailand, right? You know, I got questions. That's only for Americans. That's only Americans. Like if you went to high school with a dude who, when he turned 35, he divorced his wife and moved to Bangkok. That guy's weird. English are different. The English are different about that part of the world. That's part of their empire. They're allowed, and it's like us going to Puerto Rico. Not as weird. But okay. All right. So Dave Kendall, he was cool, man. And let's watch a little bit of his work on 120 Minutes. In fact, one of the things that I've pulled up that I want to share with you is him doing the college rock radio charts from 1989, whatever week this was in 1989. But really, really cool stuff. Here it is. Dave Kendall in his prime, MTV. Oh, he was a handsome son of a bitch too. That's why I think a lot of dudes didn't like him because they thought he was too handsome, but the chicks liked him. Here you go. Let's watch a little bit of this. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we, Gen X? Here we go. Dave Kendall has passed away. We don't even know how old he is. We think he's like 62 or 63. More details, I'm sure, to come. Anyway, let's watch this. 120 Minutes. This is from 1989. What is the week? The week of top 10 college radio chart on MTV, 120 Minutes. August 6th, 1989, man. I was smack dab in the middle of my college years. Here we go. I probably watched this live.
Welcome back to 120 Minutes. We've got a brand new #1 record on the College Countdown this week. Here's the alternative top 10 in full. At number 10, it's a 2-point drop for The Cure and Disintegration. New in at number 9, the Hoodoo Gurus with Magna.
Okay, Hoodoo Gurus, all right? Are they the band that did the song Hey Bachelorette, or was that Trip Shakespeare? That might have been Trip Shakespeare, who I believe would go on to be the band that did Closing Time, Semisonic. What did Hoodoo Gurus had a banger of a song that I can't remember that I really liked. All right.
Them Come Louder. Down 3 places
Hold
to
on,
number
what's
8.
the name of that album? Hold on. Magna Cum Louder?
In at number 9, the Hoodoo Gurus with Magnum Cum Louder. Down 3 places to number 8, Adrian Belew with Mr. Music Head. Up 3 to number 7, Wire with It's Beginning To and Back Again. Holding steady at number 6, Public Enemies Limited with 9. Down 2 places to number 5, The with Mind Bomb. Holding on to the number 4 spot, Love and Rockets. And still at number 3, Parubu with Cloudland. Little they can do about it. After 3 weeks in the top spot, the Pixies scuttle down to number 2. And the brand new number 1 alternative record is the 7th album from the B-52s. It's called Cosmic Thing, and the first Cosmic video from it proves you can make music with a message and still behave in a thoroughly childish fashion. Tune into Channel Z.
All right, there you have it. That's the college chart. Cosmic Thing, it sounds like Cosmic Thing was just released. They got a lot of hopes for this record. Here's Channel Z, one of the songs that will not be one of the top 5 hits from this album. Channel Z's kind of a weirder, but that's what 120 minutes was. All right, here, what else? Let's watch another one. We got more 120 minutes? I think we do. What is this one? Is this him? Okay, more from Dave Kendall. Creator of 120 Minutes, former host of 120 Minutes, dead. We don't know how. We don't know how old he was. We just know that he was dead in Thailand, according to Matt Pinfield, who's another former host of 120 Minutes. Here we go. Let's watch. Does this look dated? I'm sure it does look dated, but it still fucking looks cool to me. Maybe that's just because that's where my head is at. But these people who, whatever year this is, 1990 or whatever, these people still look fucking cool to me, okay? Cool doesn't change.
Hi, I'm Thurston. This is Steve, and we're from Sonic Youth, and you're watching 120 Minutes on MTV.
Well, should have been a cool thing. Sonic Youth's recent video featured a cameo from Public Enemy's Chuck D. And on December 29th, the Noise Rockers played a concert with the acclaimed rappers at Chicago's Aragon Ballroom. In fact, Chuck announced it was the last
Aragon Brawl Room, if you've ever been. Legendary.
ever Public Enemy concert. But trouble broke.
So wait a second. So who played at the Brawl Room together? Was it Sonic Youth and Chuck D?
Noise Rockers played a concert with the acclaimed rappers at Chicago's Aragon Ballroom. In fact, Chuck announced it was the last ever.
Man, I don't remember that. That seems like something that I would have been interested in back then.
Public Enemy concert. But trouble broke out when a group of anti-war protesters were confronted by a line of police officers in riot gear after the gig. Press reports cited 18 arrests, 4 cops and 1 spectator injured. But it looked worse than that, Sonic Youth's Lee Ronaldo told me on the phone. He said, quote, "It looked like the police came down awfully hard and we saw a number of kids getting severely abused," unquote.
Since 1991. It sounds like the same complaint people have about the police in 2026.
If all goes according to plan, Sonic Youth will kick off a world tour with Neil Young on January 17th.
All right, there you have it. 120 minutes. Creator Dave Kendall, a guy I honestly hadn't given one thought to in about 35 years. But when I did give him that thought, I was like, respect, dude. Respect. That was cool. It was cool what you did and what you did. That's really got to be, I don't know, maybe it's a narcissist thing, but you know, you want something to leave. Like, no matter what you say about Dave Kendall, I don't know what he was doing in Thailand. No, I don't even mean to go there. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. Whatever you think of him. Oh, yeah, that was a guy who was famous for like 6 years on MTV, and then he's nothing. He's nothing. He's a has-been. That fucker created something that I thought about last night and that I thought about this morning, and I can't stop thinking about how important 120 minutes was to an entire generation of people who enjoy American culture. It was cool. Dave Kendall, rest in peace. All right, let's do a little Dick of the Day thing. Dick of the Day, we do this every day. This is where we like to shine a spotlight on somebody who's out there sharing oxygen with us, just being a jag-off. Look at this jag-off. We've covered all kinds of dicks in the last couple of weeks since we've reinstituted this daily segment, Dick of the Day. You don't have to have a dick to be a dick, and we're going to learn about that today. Check this out. Oh, this is so funny. What kind of a what's another word for retarded? Because I literally wanted to use retarded in the way that it's supposed to be used, to a slowing down of comprehension in this case, a slowing down of anything to retard something's growth. I don't know how to use it in this case without people, being like, you're making fun of kids with problems. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This is retarded, okay? This thing. If you get joy from this, and we've seen this happen a number of times. A person I'm friends with. Yeah, well, that's a weird one. Not really friends with, but know and have a cordial relationship with, is famous for doing this. Alex Stein. Okay. All I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if, he turns heel and suddenly is like a liberal. I just wouldn't be surprised. He's actually a really smart guy, but he was famous for, remember, I think he first burst on the scene. Alex Stein is a troublemaker. He's a far right-wing troublemaker. I'm not even sure he's far right-wing. Just saying. I'm just saying. He's an opportunist and he's a performer and he's really funny. That's the thing that kills me. He's just he's a normal guy. He's just he's pretty funny as a normal guy. And then, you see the videos and you're like, he's part of the division of America. He's part of the problem. So Alex got, viral. He went viral for throwing pork at a Muslim fighter at a UFC event or something. And it's just okay, I get why he's doing it, because he's click farming for the lowest common denominator. The people will be like, yeah, this is what we ought to do to all the Muslims we know. Throw bacon at them. And again, I say that if at this point, years after that was first done, if at this point you're still like, that would be funny, you're retarded. You're retarded socially, for real. I don't know about your actual genetic issues or, what's happening there. But as far as a member of a civilized society, you're retarded. Brings us today's Dick of the Day. A woman now has been charged with a hate crime after allegedly placing pork products in front of a Muslim-owned grocery store. Still funny in 2026, is it? Let's get a look at her. Let's see if she looks like the type, shall we? Now, what type are you conjuring when you imagine a woman that would place pork products intentionally at the doorstep of a Muslim place? You probably are. You're imagining something, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. You nailed it. You nailed it. That's what you were imagining. That's the woman you were thinking of. And of course, it happened in Florida. Of course. All right, let's get into the details of this, because this lady doesn't even have the courage of her convictions to stand by what she did. She's trying to play it off like, come on. Hold on. I'm doing this thing again. All right. Dateline. Port St. Lucie. A 61-year-old woman's been charged with harassment or intimidation based on religious or ethnic heritage after she allegedly placed pork products on the ground outside a Muslim-owned grocery store. See, because Muslims, I don't know what pork is toxic to them. I don't know. What is it that this woman thinks? It's just really all it is just offensive. All it is an example of you saying, fuck what you believe. That's it. That's all it is. It's not toxic to Muslims. They can pick it up and throw it out and they wash their hands. It's just something a jerk would do. It's just something a jerk who suddenly feels like I'm emboldened to be a jerk. It's just something a jerk would do. Or more to the point for this segment, it's a dick move. And it gets you Dick of the Day. Dumbass bitch. All we can hope is that her name is Karen, and it's not. WPEC in Florida reports that on the afternoon of May the 30th, surveillance footage allegedly captured Christine Fernandez putting pork products on the sidewalk outside of a store owned by Hibaf Sharif, a store specializing in Middle Eastern groceries. Right, because, you've been told it's okay to fuck with people. You've been told. There's a whole bunch of people online that are like, you ought to do it. And so now you're in your real life. Now you're out there being a fucking asshole. Knock it off. Jesus Christ, this country needs parents on every corner, even for 61-year-old idiots. It says here, Hometown News of the Treasure Coast reports that footage allegedly showed Fernandez dropping bacon onto the ground outside the entrance. She was identified after staff members at a nearby restaurant reviewed their surveillance footage as well. Fernandez is reportedly the girlfriend of a regular customer at the restaurant. So let me get this straight. Hometown News, the footage allegedly shows Fernandez dropping bacon onto the ground outside the entrance. She was identified after a staff member at a nearby restaurant. Okay, reviewed the surveillance footage. All right, I thought that, like, it turns out her husband was a customer of this place, or her boyfriend, and she was doing... No, apparently this halal grocery store is located across from some restaurant, and apparently she would go to this restaurant with her boyfriend. Occasionally, apparently her boyfriend went more because her boyfriend's the one being described as a regular. She's just known as the girlfriend of the regular. So apparently she would go to this restaurant across from the halal store and eat her pancakes and just fucking stew. Look at them rat people. Is that what this is? Because if it is, fuck you. You're a retard. You are a retarded person. Stow that shit and go home. Go about your business. You fucking rat person. All right. Police contacted Fernandez. Look, people, legitimate people, might have an issue with some of the tenets that they believe to be foundational to the Quran and all that. That's a reasonable argument. You can't fuck with people on the streets of my country, okay? Stop fucking with people. Fuck with purse snatchers. We get a purse snatcher. More of us need to fucking start concentrating on that kind of shit. Actually getting involved when it's something that needs to be done. A purse snatching, a carjacking, whatever. Put the goddamn phones down, citizens, and start helping. No, but this woman, she didn't record this, I bet. I bet she just did this as a bit. I'm going to fuck with some people in my community for no reason other than I'm a mean, ugly old woman and life didn't promise me, or I didn't get the things life promised me. Sitting here at a funky diner in Florida across from a fucking Muslim grocery store, just stewing because my French toast is cold. Police contacted Fernandez after she allegedly told them that she did not mean for the act to come across as malicious. I didn't, what? That's insulting? Oh, come on. It was funny. A guy, Alex Stein, I followed, did it a long time ago. She claimed it was a joke. She claimed she acted as part of a bet regarding who would place the bacon bits in front of the store. Okay, let's break this down. So you didn't mean it to be malicious, yet it was a bet. Why was it a bet? Why would someone be reluctant to put the bacon bits in front of the store? Why was the bet that you wouldn't do it? You didn't mean it to be malicious. You said that. But why would it need to be a bet if there was nothing suspect about the act? Okay, as my friends in the Sopranos might say, you fucking bukak. Police contacted Fernandez after she allegedly told them that she didn't mean for the act to come across as malicious, and therefore it did not warrant an apology to the business owner. I don't ever say sorry. Americans are never wrong about anything. Fucking apologize, you mean ass bitch, and go on with your life. AL reports that she allegedly said, "It was a joke. Drop it there." And that's exactly what I did. Was it poor taste? Yeah. Was it funny? See, that's the thing. Was it poor taste? That used to be the domain of the fucking shock jock. Okay? Most people in civilized society in 1995 weren't operating as poor taste being their default. That was where shock jocks came in. They said things on morning radio, and you're like, I love that guy. He tells it like it is. Well, here we are now with social media and platforms and people being amplified, and everybody's a fucking shock jock doing bits on the street. I I look at the stuff that I was a part of in the 1990s and the 2000s and a lot of it, and I go, what was the point of that? Why did I even do that? I mean, I guess that's a part of growing up. I guess that's a part of maturing. I guess you look at things that you did when you were younger. And by the way, you're always going to be younger. You can be 75 regretting things that you did when you're 55. You can be 95 regretting things you did when you're 75. We never perfect it. All we can hope to do is to have some pangs of guilt about bad behaviors from our past. But we don't do that anymore. We don't apologize for anything. We have no shame. It was a joke. Get over it. Well, we will get over it, but say you're sorry. Say these are members of the community, and to the best of any of our knowledge, they haven't, bombed any airports or anything like that. So just, say you're sorry and move on, because they pay taxes and they live here legally. But no, she won't. She won't. And that's why she's our dick of the day, Christine Fernandez, down there in, would you believe, Florida. Today's dick of the day. Screw that lady. It's funny. That's hysterical. Man, it is so not interesting anymore to be shocking. It's just not. Everybody is a shock jock. Everybody. Ugh. All right, that's our dick of the day. How about 3 videos? The first video we're going to show you today, these are 3 videos that I find they circulate around the internets, the interwebs, if you will. We look at them and I think, this will be fun to talk about. Now, this one, the only reason I'm talking about this one here is because I don't see it. I don't, I'm not excusing the man. I don't know, but I don't see it. So this was going around yesterday. I know I've got headphones on now, and this is maybe the first time I've had headphones when I've listened to this, so maybe I'll hear it. But apparently Chuck Schumer, during a speech yesterday, he let one rip, right? And we always like to investigate when somebody, while speaking, especially an old man who is feckless and infuriating, has difficulty controlling his toots. Well, apparently Chuck Schumer there on the floor yesterday, he let one fly. Let me see.
That's independent.
Hold on.
And
I couldn't hear it. Everybody's like, I hear it. That was barely a toot, though. I didn't hear it. So crank your volume up. I'll crank it up as much as I can. I got headphones on this time, so maybe I'll hear it. But here he is, Chuck Schumer. This guy's the worst. I mean, for every bad Mitch McConnell and fucking Lindsey Graham, there is a Chuck Schumer. They are all garbage.
And we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration...
I heard it!
And we need...
For the first time ever, I heard it. But I got headphones on and I got the volume cranked, so... No, he did. He definitely farted. He says, on Iran... See if we can hear it again.
And we need a complete investigation that's independent. Now on Iran and the NDAA. When all the Trump administration... we need...
All right, I heard it. Chuck Schumer out there farting dust on the floor of the United States Senate. Okay, yeah, I wanted to look at this. Because this caused great debate here on Chicago baseball Twitter. Yesterday was the Major League Baseball All-Star game. Major League Baseball is taking a cue from the NBA All-Star game, and I think the NFL does it now too. But who cares really about the NFL? The red carpet. This is a new thing. This is a new thing for the social media Instagram era, where before every event that is held in this country, we now have a red carpet. We now have a red carpet. It's sponsored. There's a nice little wall with all kinds of sponsors' names on it. People are making money just for the athletes to show up to do their job, to play a child's game for hundreds of millions of dollars. They now get a red carpet, which I'm fine. I'm honestly fine with. I'm just pointing out that it's a little bit different than the way players used to arrive at the ballpark. Do you know that there were players back in the day, as recently as the mid-'80s, that used to show up to baseball games in Chicago, players wearing their uniform? They would dress at home. People like, yeah, I saw Eric Soderholm in traffic. He was wearing his game uniform. Yeah. Billy Williams used to ride his bike to Wrigley Field in his game uniform. Anyway, now we got a red carpet. So the big talk that occurred yesterday on White Sox Twitter, or not White Sox Twitter, Chicago baseball Twitter, was about the Chicago athletes and who strutted and who peacocked the best on the runway. because all the baseball players are trying to look their best. And quite frankly, the Chicago Cubs superstar center fielder, Pete Crow Armstrong, looked like a fucking serial killer. And that was the reason. That was the reason for a lot of chatter. So I want to take a look at this. Let's watch some of the red carpet fashions there at the Major League Baseball game. Again, these guys are all $100 million type athletes. They all have fashion guys who advise them, and they all have supermodel girlfriends who get them couture clothing. So there is no reason for them to look as weird as Pete Crow Armstrong looked. So here we go. This is, I know it's in our 3 videos, but it's a bunch of videos and I couldn't decide. All right, here you go. This right here. Hold on. This is going to be your gold standard. It doesn't get much better than Justin Verlander, his supermodel bikini wife, Kate Upton, and their 2 adorable children. So here you go. This is the gold standard. Let's watch. There we are. Oh, we didn't start it. Sorry.
Welcome, Justin Verlander of Detroit.
I mean, first of all, can we just say Mrs. Verlander? That's Kate Upton. Anybody who, we know her. Any fans of chicks in bikinis out there? Well, you know who Kate Upton is. Probably the single greatest bikini model of all time, if you're asking me. Go ahead, look at the pictures. Kate Upton, Justin Verlander, this is the gold standard. Look at those kids. That's amazing. All right, there you go. That's what we're going to call the gold standard.
Welcome, Justin Verlander.
All right, hold on now. Let's check in with Chicago's other center fielder. All right, Chicago baseball had 2 center fielders make the All-Star game. One, the superstar Pete Crow Armstrong, who some people would be like, he's the greatest player to ever play a game. Anyway, I think Pete's a great player. I think it's undeniable. But then on the other side of town, our team, we got Banana Bonds. That's right. Our center fielder also made the All-Star team. And he ain't a superstar like Pete Crow Armstrong. In fact, he used to play for the Savannah Bananas, and he was traded to the White Sox for cash considerations. And now he's an all-star center fielder who hit for the cycle a couple of days ago. He's insane. Anyway, let's take a look at him. Since we're going to be comparing Chicago center fielders, there he is. Look at him. That's Banana Bonds, Tristan Peters. He looks good. His wife is nice. Look at that little baby. Here's the cool thing. Notice he's opening the interior of his jacket, and he's got the Savannah Bananas logo. Represent, kid. Represent Banana Bonds on the red carpet there for Major League Baseball. Okay, so that's our center fielder. We think he looks great. Yeah, he's got a great red suit. It's his wife is just adorable. His wife looks like they met in high school, right? I like that. Nothing against the gold standard of Justin Verlander and Kate Upton, but we all know how they met. They met. Do we know how Verlander and Upton met? Kate Upton, when she was at the height of her supermodelness, went to, I think it was a Tigers game or an Astros game? I don't know. One of the games. Justin Verlander was like the greatest pitcher in baseball at the time. He's pitching, and at the end of the game, he walks over to Kate Upton, who was just a hot chick at that point, and he gives her the ball. He hands her the ball. That's how they met, and now they're married and they got great kids. It's a cute story, and that's wonderful. But this, Tristan Peters looks like she married him when he was a guy who used to play for the Savannah Bananas, whose baseball career was over. He wasn't doing anything. That's who these two are. Anyway, that's our center fielder with his cool-ass Savannah Bananas jacket. We like that. We applaud that. That's a terrific story. All right, so now let me show you the other center fielder. Let me show you. Oh, hold on. I just lost my place. Yeah, let me show you the Cubs center fielder, and this is what people are saying. The fuck is going on with him? Who is that? All right, now, there we go. Okay, here we are now. Now, you just saw our center fielder. All right. He was wearing the nice maroon jacket with the fun little inside Savannah Banana thing. And now let me show you the Chicago Cubs center fielder. Here he is, Pete Crow Armstrong, or as he's being called on Twitter, Pete Crow Dahmer, because what the fuck is this? Is he trying to be ironically weird? Is that something that's going on here? I mean, we saw the gold standard. We saw Justin Verlander and Kate Upton. They look great. We saw Tristan Peters, a guy who's just thrilled to be there. Can't believe he's found himself in the All-Star game after being a Savannah Banana who was traded for cash considerations. Looked great. Now you got this guy. What the hell is going on with Pete Crow Dahmer? Look at this. Are those pleats? Is this guy wearing khaki pants with pleats? What is this jacket? First of all, they're in Philadelphia. It's the summertime. Does he need a leather jacket zipped all the way up to the top? All right, there you go. That's number 2. That's number 2. In the super gay fashion war arguments of Chicago baseball Twitter last night, I think the White Sox won. I think our guy looked cool. I think the Chicago Cubs guy looked like a freaking serial killer. Pete Crow Dahmer. What is this guy doing? He's making so many weird choices. He's such a good baseball player, man. He really is a good player. Look, you know me. I don't say anything about the Cubs unless I have to. Pete Crow Armstrong is such a good baseball player. He's so weird. So weird in every other way. All right. Let's keep going. That's number 2 in our 3 videos. The first one was, did Chuck Schumer fart? I think we answered that question with a resounding yes, he sure did. Major League Baseball red carpet. What else do we have? Yeah. All right, we'll do this one. Actually, we're going to do this one only because I seem to have lost the third video. I don't know what happened with the third video. Anyway, this one's going to have to pass for the third video today in 3 videos. It's one that I was looking for an excuse to show. And look at this. We've got an excuse. There was, however, one home run last night. And who did come? All right. So the reason that I wanted to talk about that specifically was because that was bullshit. And we just hear so much out of town stupid and bullshit from national announcers when they're, placed. Okay. Yes. My Chicago White Sox are probably the best story in baseball. Where did they come from? Talk about worst to first. I mean, it really is a nice story. And again, I'm biased because it's my team. But if you were, just being objective, you would be like, yeah, that is one of the best stories in baseball this year, how that franchise has turned it around in 1 year based on 2 trades. That at the time we thought these trades were garbage for us, and it turns out they're not. So that is true. When he said, the best story in baseball. What isn't true is when he said Miguel Vargas is one of the best surprises on the team that is the biggest surprise in baseball. That is bullshit. Miguel Vargas is not a surprise. Miguel Vargas is exactly who we thought he was going to be. Miguel Vargas was the highest rated prospect in the LA Dodgers organization when they were beginning to go on their World Series run. They had no room for him. But you know what they needed? They needed one of our pitchers because our team was bullshit and we had a pretty good pitcher. So we traded our pretty good pitcher to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and in return, we got their number 1 prospect, Miguel Vargas. Miguel Vargas is an all-star. He's got 20-something home runs. He is an absolute clutch performer and a knockdown, drag-out third baseman. Miguel Vargas is not a surprise. Tristan Peters, the Savannah Banana, playing in the outfield is a surprise. I don't know if you got your notes confused, but I hate that. I hate when just announcers just say, if you ever just listened, a football game is the best. Listen to the bullshit that these guys say. It's all just like things you've heard a million different times, phrased slightly differently, and it's always nonsense. Out of town stupid. Jeez, I just hate it. Do you remember back in the day when NFL football, your local football games had local announcers? Yeah, it was like baseball. Like, baseball on a Tuesday night game, you're going to get your local announcers. But then if it's like a big national postseason game, then you get the national announcers who are always out of town stupid about the team that they're covering, because their job isn't to know everything about the team. Their job is to convince you that they know everything about the team. And you don't have to actually know everything about the team to convince people that you're an expert. And that's what I mean when I say out of town stupid. Anyway, there you go. That's number 3 videos. We're going to end things with Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. That's right. Every day, a celebration of America's pastime. We're on a break. I hate these days. I really do, especially when my team is relevant. When you're team, when your baseball team is relevant, there is nothing more torturous than the All-Star break. There's no baseball today. Why can't there be? Okay, I understand why there's not baseball today. I get it. Yesterday was the All-Star game. These guys got to get back. They got to travel. They're millionaires, so we have to take care of them. So they need the day off. Fine. Today, fine. Tomorrow? Why is Major League Baseball off on Thursday too? What is that about? I hate these days. I hate these 2 days. Anyway, the All-Star game was not without its problems. I didn't watch the whole thing. Because who would? Seriously, I love baseball, but fuck that. I ain't watching the whole 9 innings of All-Star baseball. Watched enough of it to know that the sound was completely jacked. Was it Fox who aired the game? A terrible audio. They had the mics in the crowd and on the field at an equal level to the mics in the broadcast booth. So you couldn't hear anything. There was a whole game. It sounded like they were talking like this. The whole game. Yeah, it's going to be 3 for 4 on that one. That's going to be the whole game. That's what it sounded like. And I went to 3 different TVs. And then when they talked to players on the field, it was either that or couldn't even hear the players because the players' mics were. It was a clusterfuck. It was a terrible production. I didn't like it. However, they started things out with what we're going to show today in today's Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. There was, they always do some elaborate staged, presentation before it, designed to, pound at your heart and jerk at to your ducks. They did something like that for the opening of the All-Star game yesterday. And I got to be honest with you, I'm someone who is, I love baseball and I love the connective tissue that baseball has shown me this summer between me and my 17-year-old son. It really and this is what baseball is magic. Now, here you go. This is how Major League Baseball opened the All-Star game yesterday, and I didn't get it. I'm sorry. I didn't get it. It looked very staged. It looked very produced and directed. And by directed, what I mean is I think they're using civilian kids. All right, you're going to see this, but I'm giving you context before you see it. They use civilian kids and actual Major League Baseball players in this little bit that seems to be playing out live. Because it's live, there's probably somebody directing the action when the camera moves to them. And it's just so clear that some of the direction was, okay, you two are going to pretend like you're watching the fireworks. And then so you have like a little kid in a Major League. It just seemed awkward and staged. And I didn't understand the bicycles, although I was kind of like, okay, riding your bike to the park. Is that what this is? Like every little kid rides their bike to the park. Anyway, watch this. I've given you the context. I've told you why I don't understand what I'm looking at. And I don't understand why people online are like, this is beautiful. Here it comes, the opening. And again, I'm a sap. I'm ready to be a sap. I just didn't understand this. Here we go. How Major League Baseball opened up yesterday's All-Star game. It's today's edition of Charles on the Jumbotron and a bunch of kids on bikes riding around the field. Okay, all right, you got me. I'm like, I'm interested. Where's this going to go? Mike Trout, and I'm not sure who the other guy was. The 3 players who just now are running out onto the field, apparently to meet the kids like this. Look at this. Like, okay, like there's somebody just behind the camera going, okay, we need you to stare off. I like those moments, those 2 moments that we just saw with the little kids with, the All-Stars. That seemed real. That seemed cute, but the Miz teaching a kid how to throw. And he's like, that seems staged. Like, hey, Miz, why don't you throw him? Why don't you show him how you hold a sinker? Okay, actually, my kid would bring baseball. My kid is a card collector, so my kid would probably have cards in his pocket should he find himself in this situation. It's just the rest of the song and then images of, kids. I guess it's sweet. I don't know. I just thought it was a big waste of time. I'm like, can we play ball? Those kids, probably fun for those kids, though. Although, let's not kid ourselves. Fun for those kids. This is probably like the 5th most fun thing those kids have ever done. You want to know why? Because those are the kids of the lawyer, of the guy who owns the team. And those are the kids that those aren't fucking just stray kids. They went to the mall and went, hey, who wants to participate in this and have the coolest experience of your lifetime? Now, every single one of those kids have been on a private jet. I promise you. Every single one of those kids have been on a private jet. But other than that, it's nice. It's nice. Okay. I once had an never mind. Not going to go down that road. Because maybe I don't tell the story properly. But in my childhood mind, I had an opportunity once to be a bat boy at a White Sox game. And instead, it went to a kid whose dad owned a car dealership that they were trying to get to advertise. It was from my school. It was a school thing. And I deserved it. I was the one who should have. But then, as it turned out, this guy's dad was buying some advertising. And that kid got to be the bat boy. Yeah, that's how I learned about America. I'm like 11 years old going, but I'm supposed to be the best. Oh, his dad bought advertising time on White Sox baseball? Well, I'm 12 years old. I'm like, well, I guess that makes sense. American capitalism. Fuck me, the working class kid whose mom has 2 jobs. Hey, tell me all about it, man. Come back, take some notes. Tell me all about how much fun you had at my expense. Because your dad bought advertising times. Ain't that America? I hope you had a good show. Or I hope you had a good time. I had a good show. I think I had fun, right? I don't know. I feel good. This was good. What is it? 2:38? Like 2 hours, a half hour. I gotta go to Dollar Tree. I went to Dollar Tree yesterday because that's where you look. If you buy, I like to clean. I have cleaning products and paper towels and stuff like that. That's the place to go for all that shit. And how I know it's the place to go? Because it is crawling with cleaning ladies. Any time of the day that you go into Dollar Tree, just look around and go, do you think that woman's a cleaning lady? You'll be like, yeah, I do. I think that woman's a cleaning lady and she's stocking up on glass cleaner. I got to go to Dollar Tree. I need detergent. I love the detergent at Dollar Tree because it's $1.50 and it's fucking detergent. Okay. I just need the clothes cleaned. All right. I don't need, to spend $12 for 8 ounces of detergent. I get 12 ounces for $1.50. Yes, it appears to be some kind of laundry detergent that is made in Central America, but I don't care. I'm just looking to get a stain out of my t-shirt. They also don't have it locked up at the Dollar Tree. Because who would lock up a $1.50 bottle of detergent? Yeah, I got to go there. I got to get detergent. I got to go to the Jewels. The Jewels is the food store. Got to get some stuff there. Anyway, my night is looking pretty packed. I hope you have a good night as well. It's crazy, stupid hot here. I wonder if it's still hotter in Chicago than it is in Dallas. Let's see. Before we sign out, the 2 cities I love. It is currently, oh my God, no, not a chance. 102 degrees on the south side of Chicago. How insane is that? Holy shit. Now I don't even want to go to the Dollar Tree. Although the car has the good air conditioning. Well, we have air conditioning. Air conditioning's good. I mean, I'm shocked to learn it's 102. I've been doing this show. It doesn't feel like it's 102. Air conditioning's work. It's fine. But something about that car air conditioning, right? It just blasts you. That's the good air conditioning. All right, it's 102 degrees currently on the south side of Chicago. Are you kidding me? It's 88 degrees in Dallas. How do I? Come on, man. Why won't that... You can see it. 88 degrees. Anyway, 88 degrees in Dallas. It's almost 20 degrees hotter here in Chicago. We're not built for this shit, you guys. 102 degrees, it says it is in Chicago. 102. That can't be real. That can't be real. I got to ask AI. Hi, AI. Can you tell me, if it's not too much trouble, what is the current temperature at Midway Airport on the south side of Chicago? What? All right. The current temperature at Midway International Airport is 94 degrees Fahrenheit. I just showed you, I'm 2 blocks from Midway. I just showed you something that said 102. All right, so whatever. We've got conflicting results. Although it says though it feels like a scorching 105 due to high humidity. Conditions are currently partly sunny with a light northeast wind blowing at 6 miles per hour. Here's a brief look at the hourly forecast for, and I don't care. It ain't going to drop below 90 until after 8 o'clock, till the sun goes down. All right, so it's hot. So people are going to die here. This is not survivable weather in Chicago. It goes like this for more than a day or two. And it has my kid, by the way, my kid's bedroom. I've told you about, the Southside Studios here. There's an addition on this house, and we've got the big Pope balcony. The bedroom that my kid stays in doesn't have air conditioning. And it is hot. It is up there, and it is hot. And it's not like there isn't a choice for, air conditioning for him. I'm like, dude, first of all, downstairs has air conditioning. Go sleep downstairs on the couch. Pull it out, make yourself comfortable. Then, my bedroom, the master bedroom, there's an air conditioning unit in there. And that room, doesn't need to be 100 degrees. That room is comfortable for me to sleep in. And I'm like, come sleep in the room with me. We'll move your mattress. He's got a mattress, and we'll just move the mattress. We'll put it on the floor in the master bedroom, and you will sleep with air conditioning. He's like, no. He's like, no, I'm fine. Last night, his bedroom was like 95 degrees. I know, because at like 2 a.m, I woke up to check on him because I don't want him to die in there. And he's sound asleep. He's got the fan going. The fan is blowing on him. I don't know. So he's fine. Anyway, tonight, it worries me. Why does it worry me? If he's fine, why am I worried about it? Because for me, it would be untenable. There was no way that I would even consider sleeping in a room like that. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. We've got stuff to do. It's hot. Oh, boy. One more time, thank you to our July heroes. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Tracy D, you tipped for about 20 other people. So thank you. Got us about it. We were in real desperate straits. She cut in half what we need. So thank you. So I'll keep pushing. So guys, help us out. Drop a little something in the tip jar. You can do that by either dropping it in a Venmo or a Cash App. That's how we continue doing this kind of talk radio. The kind of talk radio doesn't give a shit how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. Hell, I didn't vote last time. I'm done. Show for the working class. Current events and hot topics every day at noon, right here from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago, exclusively on Radio Misfits. RadioMisfits.com. I love you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Please tip the show. And remember, don't be a dick. Just stop being a dick. All right? Stay neighborly.